Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another stream with Swaggle Haas. And in this stream, I just kind of felt like firing up. We've been doing good with the streams, I think, recently. We've been getting a couple more out, maybe every other week. I've been able to kind of get a stream in here and there. I love doing the streams. And so I always try to, fire up the camera and see if we can get some good conversations going, talk about the market, talk about everything going on in the state of the world. No real plan with this one. I got to get back on my Spec Collect Forget, getting the guests on, prepping it, doing that whole thing. I really need to do another one of those. I need to figure out who can be the next guest on that, because I feel like those segments are really fun, and I'd like to get back to those. Maybe I can still do Thursday nights. I might have to switch the day. I don't know. I might have to switch the day on those, but until I can figure that all out, I feel like just firing up the stream and, having a conversation with you guys and just talking comics, hanging out. But pulled out a couple things that we can kind of talk about here today, or maybe it's just more fun to like hang out with everyone in the chat. Maybe we're gonna have some special guests stop by later on. I don't know. We might have some special guests. Talking to a few people on Instagram. I might have my attention a little bit distracted because I am curious to see who wins the NBA championship right now, or potentially who can win the NBA championship right now, because we're in the fourth quarter. So let me know in the chat, if we end up getting a result here in the fourth quarter. But speaking of chat, let's say, hey, we got some people here. All right, we got some people. You never know. You never know when you fire up the camera if people are gonna come hang out and just kick it and talk some comic books. So let's see here. Eric Perry, what's going on, man? Hey, Swaggle, hello, everybody. Hope you're all having a wonderful evening. Thanks, Eric. I'm having a good evening. Hope you're having a good evening. Things are crazy out there, but my Warriors might win. Hopefully they do. Dan De La Torre, what's going on, man? What's going on, Dan? Good to see you. Thanks for swinging by. Oh, Vancouver comic junkie Chris, what's going on, man? Let's do this. Woo woo. Let's go. Let's see here. I'm excited for a Frank Miller discussion. My first comic book ever was Daredevil 227 off the rack when it was a new release. Oh, that's awesome. I didn't. That's a great. I mean, everyone loves Daredevil Frank Miller. I feel like when you're someone out there who it's like maybe you're someone who hasn't read comic books and they're like, I just want to start reading. And it's like, I don't even care. Like the characters just tell me. I feel like Daredevil Frank Miller is at least in the conversation of like suggestions to that person, let alone like if they want to just read Daredevil, then the clear cut answer is like, okay, we'll just read the Frank Miller series because that's obviously the best one. So definitely go read that one. But that's pretty awesome. I mean, I'm still waiting for my Frank Miller books to get back from CGC. It's getting ridiculous. I've had them at CGC for over a year now, signed by Frank Miller, and I really need to get those books back. They have not even been pressed yet. They're just sitting at CCS. So it's crazy, man. It's crazy. I would love to get those back. All right, let's see what's going on here. You guys are saying what's up, Lucci, we are live. Yes, we are, Lucci. Oh, it is hot in here. It is like frying in my room right now. Excuse me, guys. Lucci, what's going on, man? Good to see you. Agaton, first time, love it. Hey, what's going on, Agaton? Good to see you, man. Thanks for stopping in, and glad you could join us. Fight the good fight. What up, swag? What up, peeps? Good to see y'all. Good to see y'all. Let's see here. We got Gus here. Hey, yeah, Mickey. It's me, Goofer Heck. Yeah, what's going on, Gus? Good to see you, man. Clyde has pressing issues. Hey, Swaggles, hope everyone is having a good night. Yes, indeed. Having a good night, indeed. Good to see you, Clyde. Guardsy, what's going on? Wonder Man. Yes. I did my Wonder Man video. It'll come out tomorrow for sure, but we can get into spoilers for that. We can talk about Wonder Man tonight. I mean, look at this right here. I prepped it. Pulled out my Wonder Man book, Avengers #9. This book is selling like hotcakes out there right now on eBay. It is really crazy. It's actually really crazy because I was just periodically, throughout the day, just checking in, just seeing like, let's see how many sales were there for this book. And one of the interesting things about it, and this is really, a testament to like, if you're gonna put money in comic books or whatever, like you're so much safer doing it in golden and silver age books. I mean, that's just the nature of everything. And the reason for that, and what I'm getting at with the Wonder Man thing is, it's like you saw like 25 sales, all record highs across every single grade, and new listings, like there are some now, but there's not a lot. There's maybe like 4 new listings. I'm sure that there will be more over the course of like the next couple of days, but it just goes to show, it's like when you get like the Thunderbolts announcement and it's like, oh, Thunderbolts are coming, Thunderbolts movie. It's like you see 100 copies of Incredible Hulk 449 sell, but you also get 100 copies of 449 also get listed. So it's like in that supply and demand thing, you know, the prices are going up, but they're also getting leveled out with the supply. Whereas like in this Wonder Man book, I'm not going to say that you should FOMO into a book. No one should ever FOMO into a book. But what I will say, with very, very, very few exceptions and rare instances, like a book like this, a quick FOMO buy might have been a good play. Like for certain people, like I think you kind of missed it already. Like if you're buying this book, like in the coming days, you know, more people find out about it, you probably are better off waiting. But like that instant, I went from key collector to my eBay to buy it now. You might have actually done pretty well for yourself, but we'll talk more about it. We'll talk more about it in a little bit. We'll definitely get into it. Clyde, what's going on, mate? Yeah, Lakers, Warriors up by 12. Yeah. I saw that they were up. It's looking good. So, you know, I'm excited about that. Sorry guys, I did a workout. We just did a workout before I fired up the stream. I thought that was going to be a good idea, and my body temp is still really hot. Matthew, what's going on? Displaying Daredevil 179 on my piano this week before I send it to CGC. Very cool. Yes, you got to have a little bit of ceremony before you can never ever again hold it in your hands or flip through it. It's going to go out to CGC to be encased in plastic forever. Card Imperial Comics. Nice to meet you. What's going on, Card Imperial Comics? Thanks for stopping in. Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Just checking in with everybody else here. Lyle, what's going on, man? Good to see you. Thanks for stopping in. Jada Collector, what's going on, man? Howdy. Yeah. So this is, you know, I don't know. I mean, we fired up the stream. I have some things that we can talk about. Let me know if you guys have specific things you guys want to kind of chat about or you have questions on. You know, I pulled up some news stuff. We can go over the news. We can talk about more Wonder Man stuff. We can talk about some Thunderbolt stuff. Talk about some other Spec. The key collector trending list, you know, is out. I want to look at that stuff because we saw a lot of Sony books on the list this week, and then we got that Frank Miller, as we've been talking about the Frank Miller thing. We can talk about that Batman original art sale because that one was totally crazy, totally crazy. Matthew here. Yeah, man, my next 20 to 25 book submission is going to have some great Frank Miller covers as well as that Sienkiewicz Wonder Man one shot. Yeah. Oh yeah. I know that one, the Sienkiewicz one that looks, it's like a painted style. That one's a great one. I mean, how about that for timing? I mean, oh wait, you haven't sent it out yet. Is the Wonder Man book going in your submission now as a result of this news, or was it a coincidence that you were always going to be sending that book in? But you know, the Wonder Man books are really interesting. And again, it goes back to what I was saying with like the FOMO buy. And it's a crazy phenomenon because I feel like there are instances like the Thunderbolts one where you get the announcement and everyone goes nuts and everyone starts buying the book. And although you see a flurry, although you see massive volume moving, you don't necessarily see the record high price because this is a book that has been spec'd on so many times in prior Disney shows, prior Disney movies, 2021 comic book market boom, et cetera, et cetera. But there are certain books that like have not been spec'd on as hard. So for instance, the Wonder Man one, like you rewind the clock back to WandaVision, and like WandaVision, the books were being spec'd on, but the rate in which people spec'd on it was so much slower than what it was like, you know, than what it is today. Like when you start with WandaVision, it was like literally week to week spec. Like it was like, oh, Sword is in WandaVision now. Everybody buys Sword books after the episode. Oh, White Vision is in there. Everyone buys White Vision. Oh, Agatha Harkness. Everyone buys Agatha Harkness. And then Falcon and Winter Soldier, it was like maybe like the week before the show. You know, that's when it's like people got the Falcon books, people got the Baron Zemo books and stuff. Then it was like Loki. And it was like months out from Loki, people were buying the Mobius books and all that stuff. So everything got spec'd on super, super hard. So going back to the Wonder Man discussion, like even though Grim Reaper and Wonder Man were sort of bought into, and same with Mephisto too, they were all sort of bought into on WandaVision. Like genuinely, if WandaVision came out 2 months later, the prices for those books would have been at such a height that they wouldn't have been able, like what Wonder Man is doing right now wouldn't have been able to reach those prices. So it's like it came just before the initial surge of stuff. This is all my working theory. And so this is similar to like books like Strange Tales 126, right? That had Clea. And then when we got Charlize Theron, it's like Clea had sort of been spec'd on, but it wasn't nearly at the same level that other characters like Ghost Rider or Punisher or Blade have been spec'd on, right? So that book, and same with Black Bolt, like that book for Doctor Strange, they didn't catch the spec wind, so to speak. So those books actually were able to set new record highs. So Wonder Man is seeing that right now, kind of being a character that sort of came out of left field, which really sort of like begs the question of like, you know, if there is money to be made, if there is easy money to be had, you really have to just buy the characters that nobody has talked about. Like literally there's no rumors, and you literally just have to hope that you hit that grand slam, and for whatever reason they come out of nowhere and everyone starts, you know, FOMOing into the book. Like that's really the only play you can do at this point, because everything has been so far spec'd on already. So it's pretty crazy to see that. It'll be interesting to see where it goes. And then I'm looking forward to being able to study that. I know I'm rambling on this, guys. I'm looking forward to be able to study the sort of the data as it follows the book, because I want to see how much this book corrects after the initial excitement of the development. Because again, they only said that he's being developed. So that doesn't mean anything. That's not actually like, oh, this film is on the slate of films that are actually coming out. It's just being developed. Like I'm sure that there's a million projects being developed right now. Same with like Nova. Like Nova's being developed, but when is Nova really coming? Nova's going to come in like, I don't know, 4 years from now or whatever the case. Clyde, having pressing news. I have a 3.0 of that book. Missed the news about Wonder Man. Oh yeah. We can talk about it. We can get into the news for sure. We can definitely talk about it. But basically, Clyde, if you didn't see, it was announced on Variety, I think, Hollywood Reporter, which reputable publication. If Hollywood Reporter is saying it, Hollywood Reporter is saying it. But basically, it's like announced that the filmmaker of Shang-Chi is developing a Wonder Man project, movie, Disney Plus show. I don't really know, but it's like it's about as official as it gets when you have like a deadline. Similar with the Thunderbolts, it was a deadline article. You have Hollywood Reporter saying this, so once you get to that level, it's like it's basically official. Hey Swag, remember that discussion about having a grab and go collection last week? There was a fire on Sunday about 2 miles away. I wasn't impacted, but I had been prepping if I had to go fast. Oh man, yeah. I remember when we were talking about that. Well, hopefully you're okay. Hopefully your neighbors are okay. That is pretty crazy. It definitely is like, yeah, it's so hot, by the way, guys. I don't know where you guys all live, but in the SoCal area, it is so hot. And as you can see, I'm a little bit hot right here. So definitely got to have that contingency plan for the books. I got to work on that. I really do got to work on that. Maybe I just need grab and go. Grab and go is basically what it's going to have to be. Hey, Mickey, what book with a recent TV show do you feel is a solid investment? Well, it's hard. This is the thing. Like I can't answer, because the reality is I don't know. I really don't know. There's no guarantees, right, guys? Like there's no guarantees. There are no books that are guaranteed to go up, especially now in this market. It's hard to know where everything is with the economy and how the 2021 spec boom has affected the true values of what the books should be. So it's really hard to say. But Bronze Page, if you didn't see, I made a video a few days ago that it's got me with like a whiteboard, and like the thumbnail just says $1,000 budget. You can check out that video. I don't know if you've seen it. You can check out that video, and that might answer your question. It's like a non-committal answer to your question, but maybe that will help you. Swaggle chanting his inner Reggie workout before the stream. Yeah, I mean, trying to do my inner Reggie. I don't know if I'm nearly on Reggie's workout level, but yeah, I take that as a compliment. Excuse me here. Hell yeah, man. I never thought about it that way, but you're right. Matt, I was rambling so much. I can't remember the context exactly to what you were saying. Yeah, Vancouver. Rip Tim Sale. Yeah, it's tragic. We're losing a lot of them. We're losing a lot of great artists. You know, I think it's just creators, artists, writers. It's like we're just getting old, guys. That's the reality. Isn't that crazy? We're just getting old. It's really, really sad. It's definitely really sad. I cleaned and pressed Wonder Man 1 a month or two ago. It was going out regardless. This timing is just great. Ah, yes. Okay. That's cool. That's the best. Like just perfect timing. Nowhere Bound. What's going on, man? Hey, Swaggleverse. Let's see here. Robert says, what do you think is going to happen with Thor 337th? Beta Ray Bill? I mean, I think Beta Ray Bill for sure is going to the moon. If we get at this point, if Beta Ray Bill is going to show up in Thor Love and Thunder, obviously it's going to be a secret, or it's going to be a post-credit scene, or it's going to be a surprise scene in the film. And so what inherently is going to happen is what we can see like what the tendency has been already is that similar like when we got Eternals and we got the reveal that Eros or Star Fox or whatever you want to call him was in the movie. It's like that week, like a couple days before the film came out was when the book hit peak fervor. Similar to Clea too. It was like because there were already leaks essentially getting out about it. So I feel like if Beta Ray Bill ends up being in Thor Love and Thunder, the same thing will probably happen with that book, where it'll be, you know, the week of the release of the film. That book will, I don't know if it's going to see all new record highs. I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think? It's hard. It's a 1983 book, and I feel like it's been spec'd on pretty hard. So I don't know if it'll see, say, like April of 2021 prices, but I definitely think that if in fact he shows up, it's going to go nuts. If he doesn't show up, then I would say that book will definitely eventually hit a floor, and you will have to wait till the next cycle of like whatever Thor cosmic stuff to infer Beta Ray Bill might be showing up in the MCU. Black Crown Comics, what's going on, man? Good to see you. Thanks for stopping in. Circumstances, what's going on, man? Good to see you. Smash that like button, Swaggle fam. Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah, smash that like button if you guys don't mind. Dan, I'm worried about your comics melting behind you. Yeah, I'm worried about my comics melting too. I mean, I'm hot, but I'm like, you know, I think it's just because I worked out. I think I'll be all right. Jay Andrews here. Comic Book Investment released a video today saying Go Collect data is incorrect and not accurate. Thoughts? Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen the video, but I mean, I would echo for sure that Go Collect is not a perfect database as a website. Like if it, like people have, you know, hit me up and said like, oh, like, what do you like better? GPA, Go Collect, all the cover price, all those types of places. And really the answer is they all have pros and cons. I think if you are a dealer and you deal a lot in graded books, I think you have to use GPA. I think GPA 100% is the way to go. It's the most accurate as far as like what the books are actually selling for. And it's just, it's the tool you have to use, especially when you're dealing with a lot of those graded comic books. Go Collect, I think, has some nice functionality. What I like about it is I think the interface aesthetic, and this isn't saying much because it's not that pretty, is nicer looking than GPA, because you have images of the comic books. You are able to track the sales. There are some other things that are functionality wise good about it. But yeah, as far as data wise is concerned, I see so many times that you'll be looking up Avengers #9, Wonder Man, and you'll be looking at like, you know, what the prices are for whatever the book, and it'll show you the recent sold things. And then in that batch of recent sold things, it'll be like this random copy of Spawn. And you're like, why is this copy here? So like the whatever the algorithm is, how they link the books and stuff it's really buggy, and they really, really need to fix it. So there are definitely some problems with Go Collect. But you know, it has its pros as well. I think the interface is a little nicer to look at, especially when making videos, right? Like if we're going to talk about Wonder Man, it's just more interesting to look at. I mean, the GPA is nice to look at too, as far as like the graph and stuff, but like at least it has the thumbnail of the book. And then, you know, there's some other functionality that I think is nice about Go Collect. Like, even though I mentioned they get a lot of the listings wrong, they link you out to those sales, like on eBay or Heritage and things like that. Whereas on GPA, they'll link you out to the CGC book. So you won't actually see the sale necessarily. So if that makes sense, but I agree in principle. Like I think it's not the best. It's not the most accurate. That's for sure. But it gives you like, what is it? Price guidance versus price guide, right? So definitely is a nice price guidance tool. Not a price guide though. GPA is for sure the price guide. I don't even know who Wonder Man is. Well, trade Paper Dad. I mean, I'm not necessarily a Wonder Man expert. I've read a little bit of Wonder Man. I think Wonder Man's cool. I think Wonder Man could actually be a really cool character if they do him right. You know, he's kind of a Superman power set, so kind of generic. He can fly. He's super strong. He got turned into a superhero by Baron Zemo in the comic books. But he's super cool. He's got a lot of ties to Vision. He's got a lot of ties to Wanda. There's a lot of spec potential of like where they could all go with this West Coast Avengers stuff. But he also is like a Hollywood actor. He becomes like a Hollywood actor and a stunt man. And so a lot of his comic books, like he has that like star persona. Like they can do so much with this. Like they can definitely have him be this celebrity personality who walks like red carpets, but he's like a superhero, but he acts in the films. It's kind of like how like when in Captain America, like Captain America was an actor in the first Avenger. They were using him in propaganda films and things like that. Like Wonder Man is that, except he's like actually, you know, in current Hollywood movies. So I think there's a lot of potential with the character. They can definitely do a lot of cool stuff with him. Kind of torn on selling it since I just love Sienkiewicz. I was really going to keep it, but if the FME gets a big bump, I might sell. Yeah, I mean, you know, sometimes you got to take some gains. You know, sometimes you got to take some gains, and you can probably buy the book back. You know, that's the other thing too. It's like with a lot of books that are like 1975 or newer, late Bronze Age, Copper, Modern. I find like if you just hunt, you will eventually find them again. So if your book goes to the moon, like it comes back at 9.8 and it goes to the moon, you might want to take some of those gains. Let's see here. Just catching up. Whoa. All good. 75 acre. Okay. I'm good to hear that you didn't get burned down. Oh, Como in the house. We're on a 95 to 100 streak up in Como land. Oh man, I'm hot right now, guys. Spider-Man will never go out of style. I agree with that, Ali. I totally agree with that. The question is, will the kids want to own AF-15? I don't know. Maybe they're going to want NFTs. I don't know. It's not hot in here, but flooding is a big issue here. I'm in the interior of British Columbia, Canada. Oh, nice. Very cool. I go up to Vancouver quite a bit, actually. We're in British Columbia. Jacob, what's going on, man? Swags, real answer is what book to buy is simple. Darkhawk #1. Yeah, that's true. That's true. That goes without being said, Jacob. Obviously, my answer to what book should you guys buy is always going to be Darkhawk #1. The whiteboard vid was fun. Oh, thanks, man. I'm glad you guys enjoyed that. Vancouver Swoggle House. No. Yeah, well, we're trying to get Swole here. Put your comics in a dark climate controlled room with a black light. Yeah, that's probably what I should do for sure. That's probably what I should do. Dan, Como, I worry about the temperature conditions every day that I leave my house. I worry about my comics too much. Dan, yeah, I mean, that's probably the way to do it. You know, you should worry a little bit. I mean, you got some big books in your collection for sure. Do you guys have comic book insurance? Do you have comic book insurance, Dan? What do you guys think about comic book insurance? Have you guys ever leveraged your comic books? I would never recommend doing this. Well, look, you know what? If I had an AF-15 and a 9.6, I guess you could think about leveraging it. But I was looking into that I would never do it. I was just curious if people actually do it, because I was just thinking about comics overall as an asset class. And it's like, I don't necessarily view them as a great asset class because you cannot leverage them. You cannot take out debt on your own asset, which I think is a better way to make wealth. But I don't know. Do you guys ever do that? It's all good. 75 acres burned, but no lost structures. Some had to be evacuated. I mean, Oceanside, yeah, we have a plan for that. Oh, okay, good. All right, let's see here. Whoa. What are your thoughts on the likelihood of Killmonger coming to the big screen? Well, Killmonger, we got Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger. I think it's pretty much confirmed that he's going to show up again in Black Panther 2. Like, I think that's almost like 99.9% confirmed. So I would say the likelihood is very, very, very high. It's really interesting in thinking about Killmonger, like what they're going to do with him, what the plan is. It definitely feels like they're going to use him in the film. Whether he's going to have a longer role in the MCU, again, kind of unclear. There has been speculation that maybe he could become the next Black Panther character. I don't know. I think that would be cool. I don't envy the Marvel Studios creative brass who have to figure out how they want to handle the Chadwick Boseman passing and how they want to manage all of that stuff with the characters and everything. But Boseman's family has talked about how they think that he should be recast. And Michael B. Jordan would be a good one for that. I mean, we're in the Vaultiverse now, so maybe they would just have variant version of Killmonger end up taking up the mantle. DDLT, I've got an app for my thermostat, and they live in the basement. Oh, that's good. Comic books in the basement. Yeah, way to go. How are you feeling about the long-term market? Well, I made that video today where I talked about long-term market. Now, how do we want to define long-term? To me, long-term can be 10 to 20 years. I think that can be viewed as long-term. If we're talking about long-term being, above 20 years, I mean, it's impossible to predict it. But essentially what I was saying in that video is like, to me, it's like, look, this machine that is the MCU is manufacturing demand for comic books. And whether we think that the movies are good or bad or not good or not bad, they basically are doing that. So at least for me, are comic books going to be relevant for the next 10, 15, 20 years? Yeah, probably. And like, one of the things I think is interesting is like, I don't know if people understand like how I've worked for a lot of creative companies. I'll just put it at that. And there's constant conversation about generational IP and how they can constantly have a catalog of entertainment to capture the youth so that this becomes a generational thing. And when a company buys an IP, like Disney buys Marvel or Star Wars or whatever, they're investing into this IP, meaning they think that this is a brand that matters to them and that they're going to put all of their resources and dedicate everything that they can to manufacture the culture around it so that there's generations and generations of people who are buying into this IP so that it's this ever ongoing thing. I mean, this is one of the reasons why you have a company like, this is one of the reasons why Disneyland decides to turn Tomorrowland into Star Wars Land, or they decide to have like Avengers Academy or whatever they ended up calling it, right? Because it's like, you get the parents who go watch the movies, they like the movies, they have kids, they take their kids to Disneyland, they walk their kids through, Avengers land or Star Wars land. The kids buy the lightsabers, they buy the Iron Man gauntlets and things like that. Then they end up like going on to Disney Plus, and there's like a ages 5 to 10 cartoon of Miles Morales and Spider-Man, and they watch that, and those kids grow up, and then they become of high school age, and then they enter the film market where they're now catching up watching Avengers #6, and then they grow up, and then they have kids, and they take their kids to Disneyland. Like, that's all of like the design of how they want to manufacture it. So how I feel about the long-term market is really, it's like, to me, it's like when I buy a comic book, I'm like, investing in Disney, as an IP. So in the long near term, I think it's going to stick around for a lot, but nothing is too big to fail. I mean, Disney could change course and they could decide that they're not going to make Marvel movies anymore. And they could go all in on Pirates of the Caribbean, and maybe it's going to be an all pirates cinematic universe with not Johnny Depp anymore, but they could go that direction. And then all of a sudden that becomes pop culture. And then we're all looking for Pirates of the Caribbean comic books. I just got my Thor 337 back from CGC, was expecting a 9.0 to a 9.2 because, and got a 9.6, was amazed. Oh, Robert, that's awesome. That's the best. That's the best when it's like you have low expectations, but you come back, you get that 9.6. That's great. I'm super happy for you. Let's see here. Just catching up with the chat. Why does CGC base their operations in humid Florida? Oh man, Dan, this is a great question. This is something that I think Vancouver Comic Junkie talks about this one a lot. He's got strong opinions on this, where he was even saying like, especially if you're someone who, let's say you do the pressing of your books in a cold weather climate, and then you send it to CGC and it sits there in Florida in some warehouse, where the humidity is different, start to get those ripples in the paper, suddenly your press is not as good as what it was when you initially sent it out there. So yeah, it's crazy. I would love to see more transparency into the building. I want to see what goes on in there. Like what if they just stack everyone's comic books like just on top of each other, how do we know? Like, here's the thing. I'm sure they do their best, and I'm sure that they're trying to, maintain a great business operation. But at the end of the day, like someone there who gets paid, who's like the intern, is like got to filter through all the books, and they've got their 8-hour day, and they're at the end of the shift, and they don't care, and they just want to go home and whatever, play video games. And do they really like want to place all the books down very carefully and neatly at the end of the day? No, probably not. So I don't know. There's no perfect companies though. Thor 37 is the shit, man. That's awesome. Yeah, it is awesome. What's going on, Matt? In your most recent video, you talked about the books you wait to find you. Other than Grails, what types of books do you not wait for? Well, yeah, I mean, so good question. So I have like my, kind of like how a lot of people do. I think everyone has like their kind of calendar year of like, here's the books that I would like to pick up this year. So a couple of the books on my list was Journey into Mystery 85, First Loki, and X-Men #4, which was the WandaVision book. I really wanted Avengers 57, which was like the first Vision book. So there's like some books like that. And those books I just aggressively went for. Right. Like, I mean, I still wait for the right deal. I still wait for what seems to be a good opportunity with that book. But essentially what I know, like when I buy it and when I get the book, essentially I am saying, take my money, and this is now money that is like tied up into this comic book that for the foreseeable future, I'm not going to sell it. Right. Whereas like if I'm out hunting and I see a cool book, like I picked up ASM 194, like First Black Cat, because I thought it was being sold at a good price. And to me, it's like, I'm going to hold on to this book and I'm going to enjoy it. But if I feel like selling it later, it's not like the book that I was targeting. So I decided that I would pick it up. So that's kind of why sometimes like I pick up books, I let those books come find me. And then if I decide to cash in on the equity that exists within it, or if I find it under market and I just want to, sell it later on, I can then use that book to offset some of the costs of the other books I really want. But when it's a book that I really want, like the first Loki book, and I make that purchase, I know that it's like, I'm not going to be able to sell this and turn it into something else, like, because I've decided I'm putting my money in this. So really it's just like this evolving door. Like the way I look at my collection is it's like, I have my starting players, and then everyone else is like draft picks and bench players. And as a cold-hearted GM, I will trade you to another team as soon as I feel the need to do it. So that's kind of how I think about it all. That's interesting. I think we won't be seeing too many record highs for a bit, but definitely see lots of volume being moved for specs and new MCU news. Yeah, I think you're right, Jonathan. I don't think that we're going to be seeing too many record highs. Although, like, you know, I'm sure you guys watch like Comic Tom, and I'm sure you guys all have Key Collector and everything like that. So, like, you know, I mean, every week, Comic Tom and Key Collector, they come out with a hot 10, which is essentially the 10 books that set all new record high prices. So every week there are 10 books that set all new record high prices. And I think that even in this market, there will be books that set all new record high prices. Now, that doesn't mean that the overall market is going to be going up. You know, it could be like, you know, I'm sure, you know, like what Matthew was saying, where it's like the Bill Sienkiewicz Wonder Man one-shot book. I promise you, this week is going to set all new record high prices. Now, is that reflective of the comic book market being this total bull market? Not necessarily. But to your point, I agree with you. I think generally that the all new record high prices won't be like what they were some time ago. But I do think that we're still going to see some books, you know, set new record highs. But you're also right that it really does seem like we're back to, you know, looking 6 inches in front of us as far as the comic book market is concerned. Like, Into the Spider-Verse teaser comes out. Okay, Spot is the villain. Now look at the top trending books. What are the books? It's all Spot books, right? Like, Wonder Man news gets announced, every single Wonder Man book gets sold, and no one's thinking about She-Hulk anymore, at least until we get to She-Hulk. And no one is thinking about how Black Panther 2 is going to show up later this year. Like, nobody cares about M'Baku, or nobody cares about Shuri right now, but they will later on. And that's kind of, I think, where the market is right now. What if CGC used climate control one? Yeah. Warriors up by 15. That's what I'm talking about. Wait, can I just, sorry guys, to break up the flow. Can I see? World champs, guys. World champs. The Warriors are world champs once again. Vinny, what's going on, man? Good to see you. Thanks for hopping in. Oh God, I lost my scroll here. Thanks for stopping by. Turn out the lights. The party's over. Yeah, I'm just catching up to this one right here. Let's see here. As someone on a budget, is Spider-Man 1 worth picking up CGC? I get paid in an hour and thinking of pulling the trigger. I think I remember you talking about this book. Spider-Man 1. So, well, look, I mean, I would say, you know, if you only buy books if you feel like you have the means, right? Like, don't exert yourself. Now, is Spider-Man #1 a great book? I think it's a great book. Would I necessarily buy the CGC graded version of the book? I don't know if I would. I feel like that's one of those books that I feel like I can find it in the wild, you know, while I'm out hunting. That's a perfect example of a book that I would let find me, because I think that there are a decent amount of copies out there. You will come across them from time to time. But again, if you just want the book because you like it and you want it slab and you're happy to have it, by all means, just get it. If you're trying to make a play on this book, like you think, let me buy this book and I'm going to flip it later on, I don't know if you need to press that hard. But again, every person's situation is different. I think Spider-Woman is a great character. She's going to show up in Into the Spider-Verse, although that movie has been pushed out a few times, I think now. So I think it was supposed to come out later this year, but it's not going to come out until next summer, I believe. So you might have to sit on that book for a little bit to get maybe the price that you're hoping for, especially since you're getting the CGC version and you need to effectively sell that book at the top. You might have to wait on it for a little while, which then that kind of goes into this idea of like, well, now you're looking at opportunity cost, right? Where it's like, you say, I don't know what the prices of the book are, but let's say it's a 9.8. I'm guessing it's like a $250 to $300 book. Like, now you have $300 of capital tied up and you got to wait till, say, next summer for when there's a lot of fervor around that book. And so maybe you can sell it, like, let's say you sell it for, I don't know, $400 before the movie comes out. So it's really an opportunity cost you have to look at, where it's like, is it worth it to you that you have to wait like a year to get the return on that book? May not be worth it. You know, you might be better off just going out hunting. And if you happen to find it one day, you can pick it up for whatever the price is, $30. And even then send that into CGC. So I don't know. It's up to you. It really comes down to like, do you want the book? I only ever buy stuff that I want anyways. And I wouldn't mind if it goes to 0. I'm not going to feel too bad because I wanted the book no matter what. I think Wonder Man is just our path back to Vision and hopefully Viv. Yeah, Jonathan, I think you're right. Like, I think the love triangle between Vision, Wanda, and Wonder Man, it will be really interesting to explore. I think that they can do a lot with that, because I really think, like, when I think of Scarlet Witch, where she is kind of in the MCU right now, definitely feels like, you know how in the Infinity Saga, like if I was Ken Feige, this is how I think about it. In the Infinity Saga, you sort of had Captain America and Iron Man, that it was their entire journey over the 10-year span of movies. I kind of feel like when it's all said and done, when we end up getting like Kang the Conqueror and Secret Wars and all this stuff, I kind of feel like it might be Wanda's story in a way. So I can see a world where it's like, look, she's been this kind of villain, you know, and they've really built her up to like be this villain who has lost her family and has become, you know, like this horrible force in the universe. And I think what they might do to get that sort of like satisfying end, you know, when we get to Avengers number 9, they might have her do her whole arc where she has to do the ultimate sacrifice thing to destroy, I don't know, Dr. Doom. And then at the end of it, she gets to have that last dance Peggy Carter moment with Vision and her 2 boys, and they live happily ever after. So back to Wonder Man, I think introducing these conflicts of like love triangles and things like that with Wonder Man, I think that they need these things. They need these obstacles to give her that really like satisfying arc later on. But I totally agree with you. It makes a lot of sense to bring Wonder Man into this. Like when I think about all of the things, like even his brother, Avengers 52, Grim Reaper, you know, Grim Reaper, they use him with Wonder Man. That ties to Hydra. All of a sudden, that ties to like what's going on with Contessa, who, you know, is putting together the Thunderbolts team. But really, what is she really doing? She's probably Madam Hydra. She's probably really working for Hydra. You know what I mean? The Grim Reaper back in there, Thunderbolts take over, Hydra takes over, Red Skull shows back up. You know, I feel like it makes a lot of sense to bring this character in. 80s run look like the was about to say that about the movie star aspect. It could be a combination of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and MCU. Yeah, Clyde, totally. That would be awesome. I really, really think, like, when I think about Wonder Man fan casting, I think he's probably too old now. I know a lot of people say Nathan Fillion, but to me, it's like, nah, like Wonder Man, I would get someone like John Hamm, who's like good looking, kind of a jerk, but can be really funny, but is super charismatic. Like a John Hamm type as that would be amazing. Amazing. Actual Dracula here. Good evening. What's going on, Actual Dracula? Thanks for stopping in. I'm in Kamloops. Kamloops. Yeah, I've heard of Kamloops before. Never been there, but yeah, that's awesome. Speaking of Vancouver, I have insurance through my home, but it's a big pain in the ass. So it's actually through your home insurance and into comic books, or is it just like they're insuring your home and effectively whatever assets would be in there? You should make a new video going over your comic book wall. Yeah, I could do that. I don't know if it would be very interesting though. Like, because then I would just be kind of giving you guys a tour of the comic book wall. And for the most, I mean, I know that there's new people watching the channel, so I feel like most of you guys have always seen the comic books that are on my wall anyways, but I don't know. I'd have to think about how that helps provide value. I always try to like think about how I can make a video that helps provide value for people other than, hey guys, here's my books, check it out. I saw you have a couple WoW comic swag. I'm a WoW player myself. Thought that was cool. Can't wait for the new expansion. Yeah, Derek. I have an affinity for WoW. I mean, I haven't played WoW in a while. Well, that's not true. I played Classic when Classic came out, which was a lot of fun. I'm not super into the current WoW, but we'll see. I know they got the new expansion coming out, so I'll probably check it out when it comes out. Hey, Gus, with the $2. Thank you, Gus. Really appreciate that. I have 6 short boxes for you. Have more or less? Do I have more or less than 6 short boxes? I'm a little confused what you mean. Do I own that many comic books? Yeah, I have more than 6 short boxes of comic books, if that's your question. But thank you so much for the $2. Really appreciate that. Leverage your comments. Is that like using them to even out a wobbly table? Yeah. No, it's actually probably a much worse use of your comic books than even propping up a wobbly table. I know that there's companies that exist out there. You can take out equity. Like, let's say you had an AF-15, right? And your AF-15 was worth, $1 million. I could take out an equity loan on my AF-15 for whatever, $500K. And with my $500K, I could do whatever I want with it. And then I could pay, and then I have a mortgage based off of my asset. But, I think the companies that do this are very hyper specialized, and like the rate that you would have to pay for it is like, I don't know, it's like crazy, like 12% or something like that. It would be ridiculous. I have comic book insurance, cost me 395 Canadian a year. It's insured for $500,000. Okay, that's pretty cool. So like, is it the insurance based on just like fire hazard, stolen comic books? Like, is it just a all-encompassing insurance? Like, how does that work? Yeah, Dubs won by 13. This is awesome. 1978 Spider-Man. Yeah. So Shattered. I mean, I don't know if my answer helped you, but hopefully it gives you some context there. Pope Cerebus the first, swag. What are the saleable advantage of selling high grade runs? Example, Silver Surfer 1 through 18 volume, selling as a high grade lot. Well, I can only speak from what I have seen. Like if I'm just perusing eBay or like other things, but when you sell something as a lot, then it's going to be less. It's going to cost less, right? Because you're buying in bulk, right? It's like if I go to Costco and I buy the 100 pack of toilet paper, in theory, it should be less per toilet paper roll than the 3 pack of toilet paper. So same reasoning applies here to like buying a run. But one of the nice things about selling the run, is that there's probably a lot of filler books in that run that would be harder for you to move, right? Because it's like, is Silver Surfer issue number 13 like in that much demand right now? I don't know. I don't actually know what that book is, but I'm just using that as an example. But there are a lot of people for sure that love to collect runs. And I think Drew Como is in the chat right now, and he can speak to this really well. Like he talks a lot about like, I think where we're kind of going, at least, in this kind of bull market time right now, or bear market time, there's a lot of people that are probably going to go back to runs. At least that's what Drew was saying. I mean, Drew, I don't know, you chime in. Maybe I'm twisting your words are, but I think there's a lot of people out there that want it. And that Silver Surfer run, people love that run. So, what are the saleable advantage of selling high grade runs? Well, I mean, I think that the advantage of doing it as a run is that you can sell them all together. Whereas like everyone wants issue number 1, everyone wants issue number 3, everyone wants issue number 4, and then everyone wants issue number 14, which I think is like the Spider-Man book. But like all the other ones aren't as in demand. So selling them as a lot gets you to move all the books. So you get to get a higher dollar amount than just selling off the individual keys. Lucci with the $5. Hey, Lucci, thanks so much, man. Congrats, Warriors. Yo, swag. Who wins House of M, Wanda or the Silver Surfer? Well, let's see. This is a good question. I mean, off the top, I'm like Wanda. Wanda's going to win this one because of where she's at right now in terms of her scale, power level. we haven't seen Silver Surfer yet. So the question is, how powerful is the power cosmic going to be in the MCU? I mean, we're already pretty at ridiculous power levels. Like the power creep in the MCU right now is kind of ridiculous. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I thought it was cool, like where the Infinity Gauntlet power level was. I felt like they did it really tastefully, which was a lot less powerful than what it is in the comic books. And now kind of where we are with like what Wanda can do and all this stuff, like I feel like we're really like pushing the power meter up there. So my feeling is it depends on what the Silver Surfer looks like. It definitely feels like Wanda would be more powerful than the Silver Surfer. But if your question is, from the comic books, comparing House of M Wanda to Silver Surfer, it really just depends on who's writing the comic book, right? Like this is always the cop-out answer where like, I think Stan Lee would say this, where it's like, basically whoever the writer is gets to determine who is the most powerful. But what I will say is, I don't know, I have no affiliation to this YouTube, but check out this YouTube channel called Death Battle. Death Battle ! They got like 5 million subscribers. So it's pretty easy to find. But basically they do these like fantasy matchups of like characters where they'll be like Thanos versus Darkseid. And they break it down. Like it's like Mythbusters level. They go through all of the attributes. They really, really break it down. And then they do like some kind of satisfying animation to pay it off. And they give you the reasons for it. So definitely go check it out. I would say House of M Wanda. I'd give it to her. I could be wrong on that. Evening, gents. What's going on, Tisha? Good to see you. Jerry, what's going on? Hey there from Texas, Swag Hoss and crew. Dallas Fan Expo tomorrow. Oh, nice. You looking for anything in particular, Jerry, when you go out to the expo? Let me know. Whoa, lost my place. Where am I here? All right. What is the life expectancy of pressing? Good question, Richard. I don't actually know. I don't know if Chris is still in here. I feel like, Chris, you would know. How long does the press last? Or maybe does anyone have an answer for Richard? I'm not totally sure on like what the expected, lasting for it would be. Robert here. Any thoughts on Hannibal King? I'm embarrassed to say. Who is Hannibal King? You got to let me know. I don't know who Hannibal King is. If you're sweating, you may already $2, Gus. Thank you again. If you're sweating, you may already be dehydrated. Well, this is why I'm drinking my water. But thank you again for the $2. Really appreciate that. Gary, thank you for always sharing your knowledge. Yeah. Look, I'm just sharing my perspective. I don't know if it's knowledge. I don't know if it's good advice. It's probably terrible advice. In fact, don't listen to me. What do I always say, right? Who's my favorite character? But I just share with you guys my perspective and my thought process, and maybe you guys can relate every now and then. Swag, your video, what comic should I buy, was excellent. I hope you do more of these videos. Oh, thanks, Ryan. I appreciate that. Yeah, I thought it was kind of a fun format to do it. I'd have to think of like what the next like type of video like that would be. Because I was thinking there's different ways I can do it, because I can do like a format where it's like on the computer, like where I have slides and stuff. Like I've done the thing like, is now the time to buy, and where we compare like the values of books and things like that. And that felt right for that format. This other one felt right for more of like a whiteboard format. So I could be like a little more like free form and just kind of talk about it. But yeah, I'll try to make more videos like that. Let me know if you guys have any topics or requests that you'd like me to talk about, because that would be helpful too. I have to think of the right idea, like what the right idea would be to talk about. Empire, what's up? What's going on, Empire? Thanks for stopping in. Good to see you, man. Jay Santiago, hi from Jersey. What's estimated value of your wall? I want to do a wall one day. Estimated value of my wall? Are we talking like liquid price? Like I had to sell it tomorrow? Are we talking like individual? I'm going to sell it to 30 different people? Or are we talking like some dealer is going to come in and want a wholesale price? But I mean, we're clearing like, we're we're like pushing the 25K, I think so. 20K, something like that. It's not the biggest class. I mean, like there are bigger fish out there, guys. There's tons of bigger fish. There are a ton of collectors not following any influencers. Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. Richard here. Thor 229, Daredevil 115, and Marvel Premiere 19 have ads with 2 picks of Wolverine from Hulk 181. Some think these predate Hulk 180 as 181 first public images of Wolverine. Your thoughts? Yeah, I know those books, Richard, for sure. And here's the thing. And I actually, guys, I forgot. I did want to do that video where I talked about first appearances and things like that. And I'm glad you brought that up, Richard, because I need to remember to talk about that aspect in terms of this. But whether they predate Hulk 181 or 180 or they don't, it really just comes down to like, well, what book does everyone want? Because it's like we can all agree. Cool. Like Daredevil 115 predates Hulk 180. Therefore, the very, very first time we see Wolverine is right here. And it's like, okay, cool. Now, what book would you like to buy? I'll take Hulk 181, please. You know what I mean? Like it's really just a matter of like, at the end of the day, like what book does everybody want? You know, like, so whether like, this is what, to just kind of sum it up, right? I think we've gotten so hung up on like first appearances are what is important. And they are, because it's a label that helps guide us to a decision of what book we may want, right? Where it's like, it's just information. Hey, what is Spider-Man's first appearance? It's Amazing Fantasy 15. Oh, cool. Do I want to buy that now? Right? Like, it's an arrow that has pointed me in a direction. But hey, there's also Amazing Spider-Man #1. This is his first solo series. Oh, cool. Huh. That's an arrow title that points me in that direction. So it's not to say that it's like you have to own the first appearance. It's really just a title of like, hey, this is the first image of Wolverine in ad form in Daredevil 115. Cool. Maybe that's the book I want. Or maybe it's not. Maybe it's Hulk 181 I want. And so I think it's funny. It's like, even if it is proven that came out before Hulk 181, I don't think it even matters, right? The market is the market. The market wants what they want. And that's really all that matters. So it's an interesting topic of discussion, though. It really is an interesting thing. Honestly, I do love that you do breakdown videos of budgets, buying the top books and why, build, discussion, etc. Very informative. Thanks for taking the time. Hope it's helping fund some books. Yeah, Jerry, I appreciate that. Thanks. No, I'm glad you guys enjoy it. And yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun to have the YouTube. You know, it's been fun to interact with all you guys and have a channel and talk about some books. And I'm not going to the moon on my YouTube income here, but yeah, it gives me a little bit of an opportunity to talk about some books, maybe a little bit of money in the pocket to go buy a couple of things. But yeah, it's really more about, having fun and doing this thing here. And I don't know, we'll see where it goes, but I'm enjoying it. And I'm glad you guys are enjoying it and watching. Louis, hi, I'm new to the channel. Love what you do. And here it's really dope. Yeah. Thanks, Louis. Appreciate that. Let's just see, scrolling through. Seeing here, Captain America, Darkhawk versus Superior Spider-Man. Who wins? Not only does Darkhawk mop the floor with Superior Spider-Man, he also goes home with MJ. Okay. That's how hard he wins that fight right there. Just putting it out there, Captain. Just letting you know. He gets the girl after that fight. I get a couple rock copies rather than graded copy. Okay, yeah. Let's see, just scrolling through, guys. What's your favorite Copper Age pickup? Brendan, what's going on, man? Love from Canada. What's your favorite Copper Age pickup? Like, you talking about a Copper Age book that I've found in the wild, or like a Copper Age book that I just would love to get, or whatever? Obviously, you guys know my answer. I won't give the meme answer. I'll try to not talk about, Darkhawk. I think Incredible Hulk 340 the Wolverine cover, the one with the Todd McFarlane one, that's definitely up there in some of my favorite Copper Age books. I think that book is so awesome. And probably one of the few books that like I really do think is that's a tough one for a lot of collectors to let that one go. Same with ASM 252. I think ASM 252 is an amazing Copper Age book. And then like the usual candidates, like I love X Factor 24, the Archangel one. I love Punisher #1. Just kind of like all like those main Copper Age keys, you know, are just, they just bring me back. And I love those books. Those would be my picks. Rebel Alliance picked up the first appearance of Spot years ago at a 9.8 for around $80, seeing it command an asking price of around $900 at the news. Always love Spot. Yeah, Rebel Alliance, man. You are doing real well for yourself right now. Are you going to sell your book? Like, are you going to take those profits? I mean, I don't know how you say you're a Spot fan, but like, how big of a Spot fan are we talking about here? Like, is he your guy? Like, if he's your guy, keep the book. I get it. But if I were you, I probably would be selling it right now. But Spot's pretty cool. You know what guys have been doing? I've been rewatching the Spider-Man animated TV show from the 90s. I've been rewatching it on Disney Plus. And I actually just this is like no joke, I got to the episode that has Spot introduced in the show. And this was last week. So right when the announcement came out, I just got to that episode. So I got to like watch the Spot and like, I remember the characterization. I was like, oh yeah, like Spot's pretty cool. Actually, Spot is a really cool character. So I'm really looking forward to see what they do with them. There's definitely a lot of creative ways creative things they can do with it. I've always wondered what the Emmy award in the background for and why Carnage on the front of the box next to it. Yeah, the Emmy is, I work in film outside of my YouTube channel. I'm a writer and I'm a director, and I won it for a campaign I directed. And the Spider-Man is one of my books that I grew up collecting as a kid. Like when I first got into comic books and stuff like that, there's like a few key books that I have a real big fondness for. And one of them is that book, because that was like the first like true key. Like even at that time, like we all knew it was a key. And that was one of the first ones I got. So I just put it in there. It's like in my box cover because, you know, it's one that I would never sell. And I just have nostalgia for it. Rebel, probably won't sell. Too much nostalgia for the character. For Spot. Yeah, I get you. JP, did you like the Black Panther movie? I thought it was okay. I thought it was okay. Honestly, I don't think the movie was as good as it was reviewed and rated. I would probably put it like middle of my MCU movie tier list. There was a lot of like technical things that felt really uneven to me, like in terms of like the writing and stuff. And I got taken out of it a little bit. I much preferred Black Panther in Civil War, Captain America's film. I think his arc in that movie was even better in the short amount of time than what the arc he got in Black Panther. But I enjoyed it enough. I would put it in the middle. I thought it was okay. Hello, I'm new here. Love the videos. Hey, thanks, Ryan. Appreciate that. Louis, hey, thanks, man, with the $5. I'm new here to the channel. What's up? Are comic books really going to be worthless in 10, 20, 30, 40, 80 years? Shoot, 100 years? If so, why and no why? Louis, this is a good question. This is a really good question. It's kind of what I talked about in my video today. And the answer is I don't know, right? Like, how can we know? How can we know if they're going to be valuable or not, or what's going to happen in the future? I would say I'm pretty confident, 99.9% sure that in 10 years time, are they still going to be valuable? Yes, 100%. In 20 years time, are they still going to be valuable? Probably. And when I'm talking about comic books being valuable, I'm talking about the keys here, guys. Like, I don't know if Spot's first appearance is going to be $1 million in 20 years. You know, sorry, Valverin. Like, you know, I don't necessarily know if spot is going to always be relevant. But when we're talking about those big keys, like first Spider-Man, first Iron Man, things like that, in 20 years time, I'm pretty sure that there's still going to be some demand for that. 30, 40 years, this is hard to say because I don't know. It's impossible to know. Like, will the next generations of people be interested in collecting comic books? Now, typically, I think a lot of collectible markets eventually die off, right? And, like I always say, a book is only as relevant as it is valuable to pop culture. And on top of that, in terms of pop culture and the collectible aspect of that, what is the medium of collectibles that people want to have? Like maybe in 30 years time, we're all living in Ready Player One world and NFTs are the future. I know we like to kind of hate on NFTs and meme on them a little bit, but the reality is, like, I think that the next generations are going to be collecting NFTs. I just think that that's like inevitable. It's going to be an inevitability. But what I was getting at in my video was that I'm more bullish in general on comic books as a collectible because of the fact that the native form of where these characters were created was in context to the comic book. So I think Spider-Man is going to be a relevant character 100 years from now. When we're all gone and there's other generations of people growing up, I think that they're also going to grow with Peter Parker. I really do believe that. I think Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, all these characters are going to be relevant to all of the next generations for the other factors I talked about, where I think Disney will be a corporation that goes on for many, many, many decades, long after we are all gone. And I think that those characters will be relevant. And I think people will still love Spider-Man and they will still be collecting things that are Spider-Man-esque. They might just be NFTs. And the reason why I think comic books are interesting is that even if future generations want to hold NFTs of Spider-Man, there will always be the truth that Spider-Man originated in AF-15. And therefore, I think even if they think that, ink and paper is stupid, they're still going to respect it in the way that you would respect a lot of historical items that, we don't care to collect such and such item from, the 1400s, but I still think it's really, really cool. So there's still going to be some kind of reverence, I think, towards the comic book if the characters are still relevant, which I think that they will be. And again, I have nothing to predict that, but I think that Spider-Man will be around 100 years from now. I do believe that. I collect incentives, not read to flip 1 in 10, etc. Gus, thank you so much again for the $2. Really appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, buy what you like, collect what you like. That's the other thing too. I think I talk a lot about on the channel, like the financial side of things, but I hope you guys understand too that, I'm never trying to encourage you guys to like leverage, don't take out a second mortgage on your house. Don't max out your credit cards to like buy comic books and stuff. Like, collect within your means. I think that comics are cool because I think that they can be a little part of your portfolio. I personally would never invest more than I can afford to lose in them. They are more speculative in that sense, but they're, really, really fun. But I just talk about this stuff, the financial side, because really, to me, we all know comic book collecting is very, very expensive. It's an expensive hobby, and not all of us can afford to buy any comic we want. So the reason I talk about the financial side of it is really to just sort of help collectors kind of navigate what they want to collect. Utilize the speculation, utilize flipping and selling to be able to afford the stuff that you actually really just want to have in your collection. That's at least how I do it. But again, just everyone should just collect how they want to collect. And if you like those 1 in 10s, like, by all means, just go after them. So why are comics becoming so forgotten and is not realized anymore? Well, I don't know if they're being necessarily forgotten. I mean, I've kind of sort of addressed this with like, look, every generation is going to have their own thing, right? Next generation, they like Yu-Gi-Oh cards, they like Pokemon cards. Some people like to collect Pez dispensers and things like that. So everyone has their, thing that they really, really love. And comic books are interesting. I don't think comic books, the value of comic book isn't necessarily the medium. I think that the medium, although is very, 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 it's a great medium. And I think that There will be evolution in it. I hope that there is. I know we always want to like be able to have like the physical comic book in our hands, but I think that there will be evolution in it eventually. Let's see here, Ryan. So you're speculating she's going to try and reset the timeline by saying no more mutants. I mean, look, there's got to be a scene at some point in the MCU where Wanda says no more mutants, right? Like they have to have this moment. So whether it's going to be a multiverse thing or something like that, you know, I feel like we're going to see her say that at some point. John G says, better to get Spider-Woman first appearance than Spider-Woman 1. Well, I mean, yeah, it depends on your budget. I mean, if money isn't a thing, I think you're more safe getting the first appearance in terms of like value and protecting your value. But what we've kind of seen is that all the books that are key significant books within context to each other, they all move the same, right? So if Spider-Woman becomes the it character, then her first solo title becomes popular, her second appearance becomes popular, her first solo story becomes popular. So all the books move in tandem. But you're right that if you can afford the first appearance, typically that's going to be the safer buy. But for obvious reasons, it's more expensive than Spider-Woman #1. Let's see here. Catching up. They will play up the Magneto and Scarlet with her father-daughter thing. I hope they do. Because, you know, that's one of the things that's like, we've seen Magneto in all the Fox films and the X-Men franchise. We've seen him done, right? And we've seen Wanda, but we haven't seen Magneto and Wanda. And similarly, like even when they tried to have that little wink, wink, nudge, nudge with in the Fox films with Quicksilver and Magneto, they didn't really explore that dynamic. So I think that there's a lot of potential to explore that. And I think that that's something really cool that they could do. So I would hope we could see that. Comic Ozzy in the house. What's going on? Evening Swag. Just jump in and say hi. Thanks, Ozzy. Thanks for coming in. Let's see here. Ryan says, when will Jack Kirby signatures get their due? That's a good question. I feel like the signature thing is interesting. What do you guys think about signatures in general? How do you guys like them? I think that they're pretty cool. I don't think you have to have them, but I think that they're pretty cool. I definitely value the Stan Lee signature over all of the other ones so much more. And I would say that the 1A, 1B for sure is Jack Kirby after Stan Lee. And then after those two guys, when we get into like the next gen of creators like Roy Thomas and, Buscema and Wolfman and all those guys, it's like, then they're on that second tier, right? But like Kirby and Lee are up here, and then, all the other guys, and then everyone after that. But I think they can be pretty cool. And you're right. I think that Jack Kirby SIGs are probably overlooked. I would say that they're probably overlooked. Collector P, any keys that you're still hunting right now? Well, I mean, I'm hunting every key, right? Keys that I'm hunting in my target list. I made a target list for 2022 of like the books that I want. I put 10 books on there. I've got 9 of them actually so far. So there's only one that I still need, and it's Avengers, or no, it's Strange Tales number 101. That's the one book that I still would like to get, but I don't know if I'm going to find it. Like that's the harder one to find. It's kind of a random book. There's really no spec value on it. I just like it. I just like the cover. But yeah, I would say that's kind of what I'm looking for. And, outside of that, I'm not really sure. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very, very special guest making their way onto the stream right now from the East Coast, where they never sleep out there.
Yeah, it is getting early in the morning.
Ryan from Automatic Comics in the house right here. What's going on, Ryan?
Yeah, I was, I saw you sweating, so I was on the bike watching the stream, and I was suffering with you, and I took a cold shower and it did not take. So now you can see me sweat on here.
Oh, good. This is the comic collecting sweat stream where we also.
I'm just hoping it doesn't end up going through the top of my shirt, but it's very possible.
Yeah, I was doing like this so much. I was like, oh my god, my body temperature is so high. I literally I literally was just did a workout. And I was like, yeah, I'll fire up the stream. And I finished my workout like 10 minutes before I turned on the
it was
stream.
brutal
So
here a couple days ago, and I was just outside for a few minutes waiting for the bus, and I was sweating for like 45 minutes at work. I was just like, this is never stopping. I'm like,
yeah,
when is this gonna end?
yeah, yeah. So how's it going? How's it going? Henry Cavill would be perfect for Wonder Man. How do you feel about Wonder Man right now? Are you? I know we were
Well,
talking
I mean,
a
I
little
was
bit
saying
about
like if I had that book, I'd be selling it right now because I mean, this is so early on in the
Yeah.
in learning about it. Is that I feel like it's a lot like Nova, where we got that news about Nova and it like everything was like straight up, and then now it's all started coming back down again. Because I think you said it early in the stream, like Nova's coming maybe like 2024.
Yeah,
There's a long time for things to settle back down, and so you can buy that book back later, and you'll have some extra money probably.
Yeah, it is really the rare example of like, it's that rare example of like, or not the rare example, excuse me. It really is that instance where it's like every single thing gets peak FOMO when the announcement, and then everyone sort of forgets about it. Like I haven't checked the prices of the Frogman book right now, but like I have to imagine that it's a lot more affordable. Like
you did
this
well
week,
probably selling it earlier.
yeah, than it was, but you're right, and it will be interesting to see. I mean, I guess my theory is that I think if there was ever a book that can like hold a little bit of value, it's going to be a Silver Age or a Golden Age book.
I mean, yeah, it's Avengers 9, right? So I think that's what, and so it's like it's still going to have they have certain like base values, and that's one of the things I often like I talk about with a lot of these like Golden Age books too and everything, where it's like, yeah, it's a, people will be like, oh, I don't want that, it's a 1.0 or it's 0.5. It's like, it doesn't matter what it is, that book is still worth like $2,000. It's like certain books, like they don't go below a certain point, and it's the same thing with Silver Age keys. Like they'll drop down to a point, but then you get to a spot where it's like, whether it's a 3, a 2, a 1, it doesn't matter. They all are about, maybe like $150 or something. So you're relatively safe there. It was something I noticed a couple years ago, or maybe a year ago, with NYX3, with First X23. It's like a 6.0 sells for almost the same as a 9.2. I mean, it's just like you get this where you don't have much of difference in price for very large ranges, and then it's like you get the 9.8 and it's like doubles. It's similar with Ultimate Fallout 4. Like that book sells for like $900 to $1,000 from like an 8.0 to a 9.6.
Yeah.
And then it's like 9.8, it's like 2,500.
It's so crazy too, because it really is like, you almost wonder, because there's always going to be someone who owns the book that like, they just want to get rid of it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, or they're like, maybe they used to be into collecting. Now they're just like over it or whatever. And so they're like, cool, whatever, I'll sell it here, just have it. Right. And so whether it's like a book, like it's Wonder Man or it's Ultimate Fallout 4, it's like what's going to happen is, because of the census with Ultimate Fallout 4, the chances that there are going to be people who it's like, I'm just happy, I don't want this anymore, that are going to just like sell it under market. It's just like a higher chance that there's going to be that person that exists, and that's going to create like all of a sudden when you see the book sell for less, it's like, oh, well, let me sell my book. And so it creates this like, not panic sell, but like all of a sudden people see what the prices adjust to.
Well, and you were talking about earlier about different types of like the pricing services and everything. And that's one of the advantages of GPA. And this is coming from, like I sell a lot. So you had mentioned it's like, if you're classify yourself kind of like dealer or whatever, it's like GPA. And, they give you, these like, you call them in investing, like Bollinger Bands, where you have like these like ranges around where the book sells. And so that's where you can really see, it's like in any given month, even you could have a price range of between like $850 and $1,200. And so that's where you can see where like a little patience, waiting for the right auction, those kinds of things, like you can get some deals.
Yeah. You really see it too on those books. Like the She-Hulk book is one that I feel like what is the band, like that's one where it's like you see the spread, it's like this big. And
I was watching the Heritage auction so She-Hulk would have sold on Monday, and I sent like a screen capture to the chat I'm in with like Chris and Newbie and stuff, and I was like, man, somebody was drunk tonight. It was a 6.5 that sold for like $250, and I was like,
Oh,
what
wow.
is this? Like you
Yeah.
could have bought
Yeah.
a 9.4 with that with that same amount of money. And
Uh,
it's just like sometimes you just get some crazy stuff.
Yeah, yeah, that's surprising. Well, Matt says right here, so much great content on how to be a smart buyer of comic books on your channel. Thank you for all of it. Would love to see more tips on selling. Well, speaking of, so many ways to do it, but more complicated than buying. Well, Ryan, you mentioned you sell. Are
Yeah.
you? Do you only sell on eBay or
I would
like?
say like 95%. I sell a little bit on Instagram, and it's usually I make sure I use the same name on eBay and Instagram. So it's usually somebody that like thinks to check Instagram and like look up,
Yeah,
automatic comics.
smart. Yeah,
Because to me, it's all the same. If I'm selling the book, like if it's sold on eBay versus if I sell on Instagram, I use like PayPal goods and services. So the difference is about 9%, in fees. And so I'm like, yeah, let's give you 9%. I don't care. It's like, it's the
right,
same difference to me. And so I'll give that discount straight to the buyer.
right.
But yeah, I despite the fact that I'm thinking of making another video complaining about eBay, I do like selling on there just because they have so many buyers. Like they crush
Yeah,
everybody in terms of volume of eyes seeing your stuff. And so that's what I like. And I like that I can set it and forget it versus if you're selling on like Instagram, you've got to constantly be posting because Instagram, it's like, I mean, this with YouTube, it's like nobody sees your videos after 24 hours.
yeah, yeah.
Like,
It's
like,
gone.
it's gone. And
Yeah,
it's the same thing with Instagram. Nobody sees your post after it's less than 24 hours.
yeah,
And so you either have to be doing live sales, which is just a lot of work, or you've got to be constantly posting. So I like to kind of set it and forget it of eBay. That's one of the things. But there's lots of options. If you want to take an easier route, just send them to Comic Link, send them to My Comic Shop, send them to Heritage. I personally don't recommend Heritage because they take a massive amount of fees.
yeah,
But Comic Link, Comic Connect, My Comic Shop, all great options if you want to just let them handle all the selling. Now, when you're doing auctions, though, you're taking that risk of me buying your book. So that's
yes,
what I always
yeah.
say. I'm like, you take that risk that, like, yeah, sometimes they set records, but sometimes they go to me. And
Yeah, totally.
you don't.
That's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing with auctions. It's like for me, it's like again, look, like I always use buy it nows on eBay or like best offer. I always put best offer because
Mhm.
I'm always open to the offer, and I never use auction because I don't need to sell any book. Like I don't
Yeah.
like I want to, but I don't have to. And so for me, I'm always worried of like, well, what if this goes for less than ideally I want it to go for, which is totally possible. I mean,
Yeah.
the
Especially right
auctions.
now. I mean, yeah,
Oh,
like
right now,
prices they're coming down, and so
yeah.
it's definitely a possibility.
And the auction, it's really interesting too because it's like I feel like the auctions on eBay are some of the biggest steals I think you can find for books. Like if you like just think of any book that was somewhat relevant 6 months ago and now is like okay, we're kind of on the other end of it. Like I think of like ASM 50, like First Kingpin. No one's really thinking about it right now. And if you just go and you just follow the live auctions of that book, like you're going to see such amazing deals. So like
I
any kind
I
of
think
key
that's one
book
of the
like that.
best books to buy right now. I mean, it is one of
Yeah.
the best Silver Age Spider-Man keys, and it is tanking after
Yeah.
Hawkeye. And he's almost certain, I think it sounds like he's coming back with Daredevil. Like,
Oh,
and plus it doesn't even matter. It's like it is an awesome book. It was one of
it's
the
a,
first books I ever bought when I got back into comics.
yeah. But those are the things. I mean, I feel like, if someone lists it at a good, respectable buy it now price, someone is going to buy it. But it's those live auction ones that like they just slip under the cracks. Like they go through the radar and people just don't see them. But Matt, tips for selling. I don't know.
Well,
I
and
don't
I
know.
would say like another tip though is just if you buy in a way that you are not overextending yourself, like some people will, I think will maybe stretch a little bit to get some books. If you buy in a way that you aren't overextending yourself, that you don't need to sell, that puts you in a strong position as a seller. And so that's where you want to be. I think that's what Mickey was saying, is that if you're you don't need to sell anything, and that makes it so that if you get those low ball offers, you don't feel compelled to accept it. And so to me, that's a big part of successfully selling, is not needing to sell.
Yeah.
Because once you do, then you become, like you become susceptible to any offer that you get because you feel like you need to do it to pay some bill or something like that, and then that puts you in a weaker position.
Yeah. Speaking of selling comic books, Drew from Como Comic Books.
Hey,
in the house.
I heard we were having a sweaty YouTuber convention, so I couldn't miss out on that.
Yeah.
It's still coming down. I'm like,
yeah, everyone has to have red tomato faces and beads of sweat coming down their temples in order to be on the stream right now.
There's never been a stream more built for me.
Well, Drew, thanks for hopping in. Do you get?
Hey,
I mean, we're just talking about selling comic books here. What do you got? Any top 5 tips prepared? Great deal for Matt here.
Just first thing, understand it's not as easy as it looks. I think that's the number one misconception I see people get hit with. It, you know, it's not hard to sell the easy stuff. It's hard to sell the stuff that you have to try to sell. Anybody can sell Hulk 181. Anybody can sell, you know, the first 10 issues of Amazing Spider-Man. It's the other stuff that gets a little more involved, I guess.
Yeah.
But the main thing, I think, in all my years, just on both sides of the table, is just don't be a jackass. That gets you a really long way. And I've been a jackass. I've dealt with jackasses, so it's like
I've cracked a couple times, but I really do try to be, you know, as nice as possible. But every once in a while, you just like,
somebody catches you and it's not your finest moment, and it's just like, well, probably could have done better. But
I guess my hot tip, Matt, would be I try to think of my comic sales as like, I don't try to think of any one book as being like, I have to get this price for this book. All I think about is it's like books coming in, books coming out. Am I above where I want to be? And I just really don't sweat like, you know, I made, you know, 2x on this book, but I only made, you know, or I broke even on this book. I don't worry about it too much in that sense.
I think that's a mistake a lot of people make, is they're looking, and I've told people before, like I got a lot of my a lot of what I learned about selling came from American Pickers, like watching that show. And it's because they talk about like just little things they say during the show. And like one of them was, you know, it's like, I'm not looking for the guy at the end of the rainbow. If you constantly need the guy at the end of the rainbow to make a profit on your book, you're not going to do well. It's going to take you forever to sell anything. And so, you know, if somebody sends you an offer and you were hoping to maybe get 300 and they send 250, but you're in at 150, it's like, I'll take it. You know, you just like be willing to take less than what your ideal would be.
Yeah, agree. Vancouver comic junkie.
I can't hear anything.
We got a party right now. Party in the chat.
I'm on mute here.
No, we can hear you.
A second.
We can hear you.
It's better if he thinks he's on mute, though.
Yeah, this is where the good content comes from. But I
get
agree
ready
with
with
what
the
you guys
button, you know, like
I agree with what you guys were saying, though. I mean, maybe now that I've had more than a few seconds to think about it, I think the key to selling effectively is buying effectively. Because if you're not putting yourself in a position to be successful and to be able to sell at a reasonable price, then you're already behind the 8 ball.
Right. Yep. I mean, what's the adage, right? You make your money when you buy. You know, they say that about whatever, real estate or whatever. Or your
I've had people ask me that, and that's exactly what I say. I'm like, I treat it like real estate. Like you make your money when you buy, not when you sell.
Yeah. Kamikaze with if Darkhawk finally makes his way to the MCU, will you retire? I probably should. It should probably be the last video on my YouTube channel that says, I told you so. And then I turn off the camera and you guys never see me again.
Swipe.
There. I can hear you now.
All right. Yeah, because we could hear you. We were hoping maybe we'd get something, you know,
like a good fart,
or just like a cussing, you know, like
like motherfucker. Yeah, I'm bad. How y'all doing?
Good.
Are you sweaty enough to be on this stream right now?
Yeah, you had to do
gotta go
a
do some
workout.
push-ups and stuff first.
No, I blew my knee out like 2 weeks ago, so I can't really do anything. I haven't left the home, like my house, in like two days now, so it's been lovely.
Well,
so I'm just getting fatter is really what it's comes down to.
Living the dream.
Well, that was my problem. That's why I was on the bike right before this. Like, I got myself back in shape.
Trying to reverse this trend that I have going for my stomach right now. Well, thanks for joining us, guys. This is just impromptu. We got a nice little panel right here. Just kind of going through the chat because I got no plan. But Ryan asked, as Silver Age comics approach 100 years, should we look at restoration as preservation rather than a scarlet letter? What do you guys think?
I know I've talked to a number of people about this, and it seems like it's almost inevitable that it will get to that point because it's paper. It's like just.
I would go with conservation over restoration.
Yeah.
But effectively, I agree. It's gonna be a thing. These things are not everlasting.
Yeah. Do you think? I mean, because there's already like, just when you step back, like empirically, anecdotally, it feels like golden age books are kind of looked at in a way where it's like, who cares if you have a restored copy, like, or like even like a 10 center. If you have any 10-cent book, I feel like who cares if it's restored.
Well, I feel that CGC is moving towards turning a restored label into a blue label. I think they're like 5 years out from doing that.
I mean, CBCS already does that. Like everything there is blue except for the signed.
But think about how much business they'll get from it. I mean, everyone's going to send their Purple Labels books in that year, and they'll make a pile of cash.
It's the same thing we're talking about, or a couple weeks ago or whatever, with the label notes. It's it's all about and this is my problem with it. It feels like it's all about making things easier to sell by hiding facts from people, making it less obvious that there's problems or things with the book. But I do think that's why they're going that route, is that it's to make it easier to move books, which then promotes people sending in more books and all that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like the pitchforks have kind of been put down for the CGC label thing. At least, like, I was fully expecting that we were going to hear some comment or some statement from CGC, and I feel like we didn't get that.
I mean, I think I'm in a number of chats, so I don't know which one I said it in, but like that is something I've said where I was just like, people forget about this. Like, I'm upset about it. I think it's terrible, but that's the way our society is right now. It's like 2 weeks out and we're like, man, what's the next thing? And I feel like because CGC, like, if you look at a lot of their real old labels, they used to put more stuff on those, and they cut that out at some point, and now they're just cutting out even more.
Wasn't that what Matt said? They'd cut out. I think it was you and I were talking about this, Ryan. Like, after the hubbub blew up, he's like, well, here's the list of things we cut 18 months ago that nobody even noticed. We stopped putting on labels.
Well, yeah, because like I had stuff that I'd gotten back that I was like, I thought this used to be on the label.
It's
like, what's funny about Graders Notes though? I just had 3 boxes come out just the other day, and they're all on the way here. But one box it was all like moderns in the 9s, and there wasn't one Graders Note, not one. And then in the other box, most of them were 9/8, and I had Graders Notes on every single book. I've never seen that before, ever.
Well, I'll say, so for my submissions in my Express, because I just sent in I don't send in as many as you, but I sent in a number of books, and I did an Express submission that had 5, a standard that had 25, a fast track economy that had 25. Every single one of those had Graders Notes. And then I sent in a fast track modern, and I think like there were 16, and I think like 6 or 7 had Graders Notes. So out of those 71 books, I think 60 about had Graders Notes. I mean, it was almost everything. Now, I will say the Graders Notes are definitely not complete. Like, I had a number of books, where it's like foxing like a lot on the back and that kind of thing, and like they didn't even mention it. So Graders Notes, they are what they are, I guess. At least from CGC. CBCS Graders Notes are complete. Those are good.
Yeah. It's also too, like, one of the other things where it's like, oh, but you're gonna have the Graders Notes. I mean, like, I feel like I look at some of the books that I might be looking to buy, look at the Graders Notes and stuff, and it'll just be like heavy creasing to cover. And I'm like, but it's like a 2.0. I'm like, okay. Like, there really doesn't tell you too much. And I feel like there's a lot of like maybe newer Grader Notes like are more detailed, but I feel like some of those ones that were made like 3 years ago, like I don't know if those are as extensive as they should be without these like labels that are going to be, on the actual
and that's
label.
why I kind of laughed a little bit when they first, like, they made them free. I'm like, I never really look at them anyway. They're like, unless it says something like is cut out on the interior, you know, there's something like that or like interior tears, then, you know, whatever. But I mean, I'll be honest, like there was, I won't say who, but like there was somebody that I saw, they had posted a picture of a book, and it had like a big chunk out of like an interior page that went into the art. They sent it into CGC, got graded, no mention of that big chunk out of that interior. I'm like, you would have thought that would have been on like at least, and this was maybe like 8 months ago. And you would think, like, based on their rules, it's like, don't worry, that stuff will still be mentioned. That it would be in the grader's notes or on the cover or on the label, and it's not. So it's like, do not expect that, even though they've said like, oh yeah, if it's detached, we'll put it there. I wouldn't hold my breath.
Yeah. They did say, I'll say that someone who watched the channel did send me a message that they got an email response. They sent in like an email saying like, hey, like, yeah, I think this change is wrong, yada, yada, yada. And they got a response back. And it was kind of a canned response, you know, a little bit, but what they did say is that they are looking to do the QR code thing. So I thought that was like a little bit of a positive.
That would be nice.
That they are looking into that.
I'd say it's most useful with CBCS because their codes are such a pain, you know, where you're like trying to read them, like, is that a 0 or an O? And then at least CGCs, it's just numbers. And so they're not a huge hassle to type in, but.
Can we just admit, if CBCS just changed their font and their labels, like, do you know how
rule.
We could just destroy? They could just take over the market.
I want to see if it does change it, because everybody says they will switch to CBCS if they change their labels, but then people will be like, maybe they need to change some other things too.
When I interviewed Boric a couple of weeks ago, he said one of the last decisions they made before he left was that there's a new label coming down the pipe.
So somebody commented on one of my videos that they're like, I know the person that designed the new label, you know, and so it's really, they said it sounds like it's coming, but
it's going to be a big difference. I think you'll see a big difference with them.
But I mean, we know how bitchy we all can be. Is it going to be a new label that we all hate in different ways? I mean,
they put those rivets back on them, the worst CBCS label of all time.
He actually talked about that a little bit too. I guess he was off for like, I think he had personal stuff, family stuff. He came back and saw that label. He's like, oh my God, what did you do?
Yeah, there's somebody I know that I talked to him. He's like, I hardly ever send in books in like the 6 months when they had that label. I sent in all my books, and they're like, all those rivet labels are just the worst.
I've actually got a New Mutants 98 and a Giant Size X-Men 1 that have that label, and I need to get rid of them.
Man,
or maybe they'll be collector's items down the road.
Could be.
Yeah.
What's this label? What's this book, Chris, that you were?
I can't find it. It's in the other room, but it's a Hulk 180 or 180 that I got back, and it's like somebody had vomited on the book. Like, you can't see the book, like the cover. It's just like it's like vomit on it. It's disgusting. And I got a 2.5, and in the grader's notes, there's no mention of the stain.
It doesn't even say foreign substance on cover. Like I've gotten that on a few of mine where they're like foreign substance on cover, and I'm like, all right,
nothing. I don't know what's on it, but it's not pretty.
Organic
it
matter.
actually smells. So
well, that's why
on eBay right now if anyone wants it.
I talked about that. I sent in to get graded because I was like, this book just smells terrible. It needs to be in the case.
There's a collection that a local store got in, and he bought it out in the wilds of British Columbia. It's in some trailer park, and it literally, like, you can't go in the same room with this collection. It stinks so bad, and all the books look wet, but they're not. And I don't know why. It's so weird. Yeah, they're like brownish.
Curious.
It's something. I bought one just to see, and I had to like triple bag it. So, yeah,
you don't know where it's been.
Exactly.
Well, let me bring in short stuff here. Let me see if I can get some of this chat involved in our chat here. I think people are probably moving towards just getting keys and stuff right now with this market. I actually want to ask, because I think, Ryan, you felt like they were getting keys, but then Drew, I've also heard you people thinking about runs right now. What do you guys think? Like, where's or maybe it's just, you know, like people are doing different things.
I really only buy keys. That's all I buy.
Sure.
But I understand what Drew was saying, where it's like, if it gets to a point where affordability becomes an issue, then maybe you go into, you know, collecting runs again, you know, whether it's because of financial situations with the current economy, or whether it's just the prices of things get, you know, out of hand, or whatever it is. But If you
But
can
also
afford
FOMO from it.
to come down, then I mean, it seems like a decent time to try to pick up some of those books.
Yeah.
And
But
it's
the
not
FOMO's
just
going away. It's from all this. Like this whole COVID thing's over. Like we're going into
Yeah.
recession. FOMO's going away. We don't have to have everything right now because it's
Mhm.
actually available again. So maybe going after the things we actually like might be what we do, which is
Yeah.
kind of neat.
and you know that it's not there's not a single way to collect comics. You have people that
Yeah.
are still geared toward keys that have the means to do so, but you have the people who could flex into buying some of the keys when times were good and there was a lot of extra money, and now they're just transitioning back, or whatever reason is. I was still selling 4-figure wall books the same time I had other people digging through boxes buying filler issues. So it's just, I think it's people are seeing a lot of changes just in their expendable income, and I think what they're buying is just adapting along with that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, Kamikaze who said, I have many people who are trying to finish runs buy from me on Whatnot. Yeah. I mean, even in my own habits, for sure, it's like now I'm just like, I still do find, if I find a good deal out there, I'll take it. But like, I also really, and this is always true, I always just buy what I like anyways, but now it's really like, do I really, 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 really want this? That's, I have to kind of ask myself that question. And so like, maybe that kind of factors into the run thing of like people just being like, well, I know I want this.
Well, and since Whatnot was mentioned, I was thinking maybe that'd be a topic, is that how eBay just announced that they're putting out effectively a competing service against Whatnot.
I didn't hear about this. Is this, they're doing like a streaming sales service?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And so the question is, and so I was thinking, how is that going to go? Because Whatnot, I think they charge like 10%, something like that.
Last I knew it was 10, and my last sale was awful. Side note, it was like 10.9% plus 30 cents per transaction, I think is what it is.
So the question will be, do you make more on, because I can almost guarantee you that eBay is not going to charge less than that. I mean, maybe they will at the start to like crush them or something. But all I've been seeing, like part of my little rant on eBay earlier, was that all I've been seeing from them is constant fee increases, and it's like little stuff, but it's like constant. They keep doing it. And it's, and so they're not, and that's below what they're charging. And I have a store and that's below what they're charging. And so, it may be like, okay, am I willing to go to eBay, pay them more, but will I have a larger audience and then I sell more? That's kind of the question. Because with Whatnot, you really have to build your audience. And the question is with eBay, are you going to have to do that? Or are you going to have more of a built-in audience already because of their platform?
Yeah. It's weird though because I would prefer to just do the search, right? Where it's like in that eBay sense, even as from like a buyer perspective, right? Because I just want to know who's got the lowest price. That's what I want to know. Like, I don't want to have to like find the book in the person's, chat room or whatever. But I don't know, like, would you guys want, like, would it be better to have two of these services, or would it be better if like eBay just bought Whatnot and then just adopted?
In the short term, it's better. In the short term, it'll be better. But I think
Yeah.
long term, it's like a giant corporation controlling everything. I don't know if that's better.
And well, yeah, because I mean, that's why like eBay knows they know that they're the biggest, dog in this fight, and that's why they keep raising their fees. They're like, yeah, go somewhere else. It's like, and so they're going to keep doing it as long as they can. And that's why I like the competition. I like that there are other places out there that can try to keep that under control a little bit.
Right.
But I don't sell on Whatnot. I think there are other people that can speak to that a little more on the benefits or that kind of thing. But I mean, it's just with Whatnot, a lot of times it seems like it's really good for selling lower dollar books that maybe you have very little into because you have no idea what it's going to go for. But if you're auctioning the high dollar books, I mean, people take some big hits when they do that.
I think the best strategy is to have your better stuff in the buy it now section.
Yeah.
Where you can kind of lock it down a little bit more. I know, like the last sale I did was I bought a collection a couple weeks ago, and it was mostly like had a lot of modern horror in it, so tons of chaos and stuff like that. And I don't know. I think the theme stuff does really well. But it's just, like you said, it's building your audience and getting the right people in the room. And I think they've done, well, I know they've recently changed some of their shipping fees and structure, and really getting dialed in and making sure that you're charging the right amount for shipping can be a major component, because
you have to ship out really quick, don't you?
Yeah, they give you 2 days basically. But it's all based on weight, and they've kind of changed it. So, some people, they'll go in if like they actually weigh it out and figure out how much a book weighs. It'll charge like $4 for shipping, but I just use their default shipping profile they have for comic books, which made it like almost double the weight. So my base shipping was $5 or $6 for a single item. And it's hard to get people motivated to buy $2 and $3 books when they're paying $5 shipping, especially if they only want one thing. But I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah. Gotta talk to just Ton's comment here. Going to be in LA, Manhattan Beach to visit family. What are some good SoCal comic shops to hit up? Well, if you're in kind of Manhattan Beach area, your best bet is to try to go to, there's 2 stores. They're owned by the same company. It's called Comic Bug. Got to check out Comic Bug. Hit and miss though. Like sometimes you go in and it's like they got keys for days, and then sometimes it's like they got nothing. So I think it's kind of a rolling of the dice. And then similarly, there's another store called Pulp Fiction, and that's also complete rolling of the dice. Like they don't always have keys, but when they do have keys, they're priced to sell. So those are kind of the stores I would recommend. Wait, Chris, what were you saying here about the pressing, how long it lasts and stuff?
It just depends on where it's been done. I've been told that the environment that it's in. Again, this is just what I've been told. It's not like personal experience, but if press is done in like a cool or a drier environment, and then it goes down there and sits in Florida for a while in the humidity, the press can come out. I don't know how long that takes, but I think it's more just people's guesses.
All the more reason to pay for that fast track,
right? Yeah. Well, I find you don't really need to pay for it anymore. Books are just coming back so fast lately. Like I don't think people are sending them in like they used to, which I'm loving.
Oh, have
you noticed that?
See that? I mean, you can find out what the volume. There's a website that tracks. I can't remember what it is. I'd have to find it. But there's a website that tracks how many books CGC is grading every month or whatever.
Wow.
ETA Nick used to pull the data from it and like give that out regularly as some type of like market video where he's like, look at how many. It's like the moderns are just like they just dwarf everything. It's crazy.
Oh yeah,
moderns that go in.
I don't have anything.
It shocks me
nice
like
to say
the
about
amount
that.
yeah, me either. But the amount of stuff that comes from that week, like people are just pulling stuff right off the shelf. Like doesn't even matter what it is. That's the shocker to me. Like I could see moderns, like we're talking the last decade. That to me, that's modern, or the last 20 years even. But like the last week, it's ridiculous. So,
gotta Colossus comment. Is Darkhawk actually your favorite character or just Spec? Legitimately, he is my favorite character. I know.
That's
I
awesome.
know this is no one. This is a big meme out there, but he's legitimately my favorite character.
Are you gonna actively try to put together like a 9/8 full run?
No way. I do know someone had hit me up on Instagram saying that they have, I don't know if they've completed it, but they are actively putting together a 9/8 full slap run, which is like, that's awesome. That's expensive, like, because it's just so hard.
Issues? I can't remember how many issues that first.
Like the original is 50, and then
50.
and then they had like a 51st issue that was like 15 years later, which is like, I don't know if you count that, but that would be super expensive to get. I mean, just
the time, because the population count's so low on so many of those books.
Yeah, I feel like it would almost be like you would have to try to do it. Like just like buying just tons of copies and hoping for that 9/8.
Oh yeah. I tried to put together a Godzilla run from the late 70s in 9/8, and I'm pretty much there, but like a few more. But
wow,
it's taken 15 years of just sending stuff in. Ridiculous. It's that
Believe it.
I should have just bought them all.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah. Norrin, we did talk a little bit about Wonder Man earlier, but I didn't hear Drew and Chris's take on Wonder Man. What's your guys' thoughts on this? You got any hot takes on Wonder Man?
You go, Drew.
Okay. It's just, well, I know, Mickey, it's something we've kind of chatted about back and forth over the years and months at this point. It's just like, he was a pretty obvious, if not now win kind of character. And I think my biggest takeaway was I was bummed that I sold one of my Avengers 9s a couple shows ago. So, oh well. Yeah, I still got one, I think.
I'm lucky because the last time we did this, you gave me I thought that Wonder Man was bullshit, like total bullshit.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, it was Swag actually sold him on me. I think the way he sold it was, imagine the cockiest actor in the world like Nathan Fillion, being a superhero. And it was that simple. I'm like, Jesus Christ, that could be amazing. And I went out and bought like 5 copies. So
Did you? Nice.
Yeah. So I'm gonna put them on eBay pretty soon here.
Yeah. I think it's a good time. Like if you're not this is my keeper copy. Like if you're not someone who is trying to keep your character, like by all means, I think
I'll keep one for myself though.
Yeah. I think he's a cool character. I think he's got a lot of potential, and I like that it's like, okay, they bring him in now. You can do a lot more stories with like Hawkeye again. You do West Coast Avengers. You can bring him in. You can do more stories with like Wanda and Vision. They have like a love triangle and stuff. So it's like he makes a lot of sense. Like there's just looking at the landscape. You just bring him in. Now you have a lot of stories to tell all of a sudden.
He's just one of those good long-term supporting characters. Like he was never really the lead guy, but you look in the panel across 30 years and it's like, oh, hey, yeah, there's Wonder Man.
Yeah. I feel like Wonder Man is the last, like, has the easy money been made? We were talking about this, Drew, where it's like, I asked Drew the other day just in DMs of like, what's your thought on that saying? Has the easy money been made? And then my pitch was like, but what if you're like that one person who's like been buying up, 9.8 Wonder Mans right now? And you're just
2 days later,
you're just hoping that he might be the guy. Like,
yep.
That's some easy money right there. If you were the one person out there that's been going hard on Wonder Man books, you're feeling
very happy today.
Last week there was a guy who did that with Frogman, and it was a good week for him.
Yeah.
I feel like there's someone who is as big a Darkhawk fan as I am to him. There is that person to every character, and that person has stacks and stacks of that book.
Like check out Loco for Comics on Instagram. He has the which is the character Molecule Man. He's got like 50 copies of that book.
Oh yeah,
it's just like a whole like wall setup of.
Was that like FF20?
FF20, yeah. It's nuts. It's nuts. And so if that character shows up, he's retiring.
I like that with Psycho Man. I think I just posted some stuff on my IG today. But,
I went back and I think I told you guys last time we were on about the day at the LCS I worked at. Somebody walked in with 21 copies of that book. Yeah. I found that picture and I almost threw it up today but I didn't want to be like, oh yeah, your little stack is nice, but check out these guys.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'd buy that today.
I would too.
Yeah. John Barr here. Comic Quarter did a video on what foundation books should be in a collection, i.e. Wolverine 1, ASM 300. Do you have any ideas on this, or this idea of collection should have X book without Hulk 181? Yeah, I don't know. I think I saw his video. Shout out to Comic Quarter. He's great. But I think he a lot of the books he was talking about were like kind of those. I mean, I think there was like a lean on like kind of the Copper Age stuff. I mean, I feel like at the end of the day, like whatever you want is whatever you want. But to me, I think ASM 252 is like a must-have. Like,
I've watched all his videos on that, and he's like done a number of them where he's like these books, and then he gets some more, and then it's these books. And I like the idea because it's basically like he was talking about like if you were ultimately trying to like sell your collection and somebody's looking through the boxes and seeing like there are certain books that just jump out. you know, where it's like that someone
Mhm.
sees that book and they're like, that just raises the level of your collection a little bit. And
Yeah.
so I've referenced that in a couple of videos recently, just talking about some Bronze Age books. And so I think I've said like Conan #1, you know, it's just like one of those books, you just see it and you're like, oh, it's a cool book. It's like a fundamental, you know, book. It's not like something where it's like a major, like going to the moon key or anything, but it's just something that jumps out. Like Green Lantern 76 is one of those types of books. Iron Man 55 is one of those types of books. You know, it's just like some books like that where they're just almost no matter the condition, they jump out as just a book that raises the level of the books around it. I feel like so that was just, those are some thoughts I had for like some Bronze Age books like that. But I think it's a cool set of videos, especially like if somebody's like new getting into comics and they're just trying to figure out like maybe what are some good starting points, because there's a lot of comics out there. It can be really overwhelming.
Yeah.
Hey,
I'll
talking
say
about
that,
hoarded books, could I show you something that just literally hit my phone?
oh
Can you
yeah.
put me on the big-
Yeah.
This
I
is
thought you were
all
gonna say-
X-Men 155s.
Wait,
A
wait,
buddy of
wait.
mine, this is his book.
Let's see. What is that?
X-Men 155s.
Oh my
Those are
God.
9/8.
Good lord.
9/8. And he has like a million others of them. Like he could just keep grading them forever.
Wow.
Anyway,
There's someone on, it was either
everyone's got a
Instagram
book.
or Instagram or like the comic collecting Reddit page that was like that with ASM 194. It's
Mhm.
just like endless copies of Black Cat.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I was talking, Mickey and I were DMing the other day, and he asked me about Black Cat, and I'm like, I remember buying these things for 10 and 15 bucks a piece. I mean, just nobody gave a damn about Black Cat back in
Yeah.
the day.
Well, you don't have to go back that far. Like I had a
Some of us
9.6
don't
that I
still.
sold for like, I don't know, like maybe like $500, like, you
Mhm.
know, and then now it's like 1,200, 1,500, you know,
Yeah.
it's just like,
Yeah.
they're
Yeah,
expensive.
it's crazy because it's like, you know, this is where I always get a little bit of like, not worried's not the right word, but it's sort of like, is this character, this is good video worthy. Like we could always talk about this, like flip or collect character, right? Like
Mhm.
when you really step back, like is Black Cat, like is everyone just buying this book right now because they're trying to flip it for that right moment? Maybe.
Yeah.
And so it is really that interesting. I always bring up Submariner because like
That's how I feel about Submariner.
I know, Brian, we've talked about this. It's like I know there's a lot of people who really do like Submariner, but I
And you're both wrong, by the way. No, I'm just kidding.
but I gotta wonder, and then Black Cat's kind of that to me. But then again, like when I think about Black Cat, I'm like, I mean, there's a lot of comic nerds that like Black Cat, and I think we all know
she is a
that.
very popular character.
Yeah.
So it's sort of
She
like
was on
maybe
a
she
lot
was-
of covers back in the
yeah,
day.
yeah. So
Not
maybe,
even back in the day, like currently.
Yeah,
Like,
that's true.
yeah, and
Forgive
that's
me,
what I'm
I
saying.
just
Like
buy my comics and file them away. I don't really look at them all that much
Those-
anymore.
those J. Scott Campbell covers, you know,
Yeah.
if you know, you
Mhm.
know, like people
Oh, yeah.
people love that stuff. But just to finish out here, where Derek was following up, he pointed to X-Men 1 and then Omega Red 1. But for what the Alex Comic Quarter video stuff, I was just going to say, when I got back into comics, like I got back in 2017, but then really started buying. I was like reading paperbacks and stuff like that, and then like
Mhm.
started buying in 2018. But like when I got back in, like I think for me, just starting in those Copper Age ones, where it was like, cool, X Factor 6 and like X Factor 24, like those were like really
Mhm.
easy books for me to buy to just sort of start collecting again. And so I kind of agree with his method in that sense as well, where it's like, you know, if you get in the hobby and then you start going real hard, you're gonna like find yourself like all of a sudden like spending 3 figures and spending 4 figures doesn't seem so bad.
Mhm. Yeah.
It gets
easier.
Yeah,
Oh,
easier. So, but starting with what Alex was talking about in those kind of Copper Range books, I think that's a really good place for a lot of people to start because it's a budget range that is not too big a deal.
yeah.
Especially like raw books, you know, like because that's what I think all his are that he shows in there are
Mhm.
raws.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Gus with another $2. I'm telling my dad to buy me a Grail for my birthday. Gus, you got to do that because
AF-15.
it's a great birthday present to get.
You just end up with a cup, you know. You're like, that's
Mhm.
not what I meant.
Yeah.
Damn it, Dad.
Yep.
Tisha, I really enjoy your collaborations and your moderating. Would love to see more. You have an ear. Too many YouTube industry insiders and blah, 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 and unboxing vids are really not my thing anymore. Oh, I think you're talking about our kind of like when we do that Illuminati panel thing. Yeah, I think the goal with that, I think, is just every quarter kind of felt like worthy to sort of get. I mean, this is kind of fun too, where it's just like, hey, you guys around? Like, jump in this stream. Like, it's cool too, where it's like I don't have to put slides together, but
yeah. Oh man, like I could barely walk after that last Illuminati one. Like
I was sitting in a hotel room
sitting for
office
5
chair.
hours.
oh my god.
Oh geez, I had to do a 3-day convention after that show, and yeah, I was in this crappy office chair in my hotel room.
I have
so
like
it
one of our
was
like dining
terrible.
room table chairs down here. It's not designed for long-term sitting.
That's awful. But it's probably time for us to start thinking about that next one. We're about a month out, really.
Yeah,
I want in on this one.
All right.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah. We have to like.
Somebody's got to be the Thimbot.
I think you're right. Yeah, Chris. I mean, for sure, we got to put it together. Probably makes sense. I don't know, August or something, because then it's right every like quarter or so. I mean, it'll be interesting to see. I think there'll be a lot to talk about. A lot of market stuff to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
At that point,
I think somebody in the chat mentioned the Brood. I would love to see the Brood done in like if that like some way that they do that with the X-Men or something like that. Just something that's like
Marvels.
Well,
it gets
they
a little more
own
horror, scary
they
type
own
stuff.
Alien now, so they don't have to worry about getting sued. So they can just go hard on that, and that would be amazing.
That's
Can you imagine throwing Alien into a Marvel universe? That'd be amazing. Like they actually did that. They probably
like a Marvel
Predator
crossover
there.
Yeah. Moon Knight versus Alien.
I feel like they can just chalk it up now that they have the multiverse. It's like you can kind of do without breaking continuity. You can just have a movie that takes place in not the 616, which is totally ridiculous that they call it 616.
Yeah, I'm just happy to live in a world where Ellen Ripley is a Disney princess.
Never thought of it that way.
Who's your favorite villain? You guys have favorite? We're speaking of villains. Palverin wants to know.
Oh, Thanos.
Psycho Man.
Norman Osborn.
Psycho Man's not your favorite villain. Come on.
I'm just kidding.
Okay.
I just want him to be. I think Thanos. Yeah, I think it's amazing. The movie's changed it for me in a big way.
For me, I mean, he was the one I really like. That was when I grew up with the Infinity Cross. That was like the thing that was happening when I first started collecting comics, and so that I think that really put that in my mind as my favorite villain.
Galactus before that though, as a kid.
Yeah. I would say for sure. I agree with that. Like, I mean, I feel like it's almost like a cop out answer now, but Thanos would probably be my favorite villain as well. But for the same reason.
Problem. Like, so few people. Like, I remember when I can't remember what was it. Yeah, it would have been Avengers when we first saw him.
Yeah,
and like my wife was like, "Who's that?" And like, but now everybody knows who that is.
Yeah, dude, I legit I can't remember who I watched Avengers with. I think it was my wife would have been my girlfriend at the time. I think we watched it together. I legit lost my like I've never really lost my shit so hard in a movie, but when I saw Thanos, like that for me was like, I can't believe they're going here.
Well, when we saw that, I was talking to my buddy at work. I'm like, I just need to make it to the end of whatever the Infinity Gauntlet saga they're gonna do. Like, I just gotta live for like 8 years. So,
no snowboarding.
Yeah, no more snowboarding for a little bit.
I mean, we're all kind of desensitized to it now, but I mean, going to those early MCU films, you just never knew what you were going to get. You were seeing things you'd never seen before. It wasn't old hat like it is now, where we go in, we're all kind of jaded. We're like, okay, that was a Marvel movie. But I remember it is much crap as Iron Man 2 gets. I remember
I like Iron Man 2.
I thought it was
it's pretty good actually.
It's entertaining as hell. But I had like a physical response the first time I saw him pick up the suitcase armor, and it just slaps on, and he throws a hand out, and it's like, all right, we're ready to kick some ass now. I'm like, holy shit, I never thought I would see that in live action.
Well, when he first did the nanotech,
mind
It's
blowing.
friggin' awesome.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
because I think the first time we saw that was when they were facing off against, was it when he was with Doctor Strange?
I think so. It was on Titan, wasn't it?
No. It was in the city. It was like he like taps his chest because I think like Bruce Banner's there and he's like, hey, nanotech. You know, I think that's the first time we see that suit.
Yeah, it was.
You know, killing him in Avengers Endgame was like the greatest thing they could have ever done with him. But at the same time, the hole that character is left in the MCU is it's shocking.
I feel like they were really probably hoping someone like Chadwick Boseman was going to fill that. You know,
I think so.
And I feel like they haven't found who's going to take that role yet.
And I think it's like a perfect storm. Go ahead, Mick.
Oh, well, I was just going to say to fill it. It just seems like now when you look at the landscape, it feels like all the stories are going to go through Loki, Strange, and Wanda now.
Yeah,
that just seems like those are how if Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. they were like kind of the main arcs. Like I think I was talking about earlier in the chat. I was like, I think the main now satisfying arc to go over the next 10 years is to have Wanda wind up with Vision and her kids. Like 10 years from now, that'll be the Peggy Carter dance moment.
I think that's really smart.
Yeah. It just seems like they kind of wound up in a perfect storm where you had the whole James Gunn snafu where that kind of blew up what everybody expects, you know, phase 4, 5, and 6 were supposed to be. Then Chadwick passed away and it's like everything we thought we had on lock is now gone and we're just floundering in phase 4 trying to figure out what our new direction is.
Yeah. Phase 4 hasn't really had much that I've like other than the first couple like MCU show or what would it be Disney Plus shows. It's just it hasn't had anything that's really like just like grabbed me, you know. I mean I mean like Guardians of the Galaxy, that movie, I have seen that movie probably 15 times, maybe 20 times. I love that movie, you know, and it's just like there isn't a movie like that I've seen yet that I really want to watch over and over again. I mean, honestly, I probably think my favorite movie so far, and it's not technically phase 4, is Black Widow. You know, like
it wasn't bad.
Doctor Strange, it was okay. Shang-Chi was okay, but I hated the third act.
Journals was the bomb, yo. I'm just kidding. Yeah.
And then Spider-Man 3 was the best movie. Was the best.
And you've heard, I don't know if some people have heard my rant, but I did not like that movie. So that's where I think a lot of people really liked that one. For me, I didn't. And so I'm missing something, you know, on a really good, like big movie.
I would agree with you that after Spider-Man, which I enjoyed, I think Black Widow was the best movie in terms of like doing what I think it wanted to do. I think the third act was kind of like gave me like a just explosions, all this stuff, whatever. But like the characters, the acting, like just the dynamic, I thought that was
I mean, they made her a little bit too much into like female Captain America. Her power set was higher than what she has been forever. You know, it's like she's fallen off buildings and she's fine.
Can I just throw out a little nitpick? Like Black Widow, super, super top secret spy character, but is like an Avenger and a celebrity. Like, how does that work? Okay. Like there's no way she's sneaking into like, you know,
she's very good.
That's how good she is. I mean, come on.
I guess. It's hard to be a spy character when they sell toys of you in the MCU.
Do you feel with the MCU?
Real
MCU
quick,
right now? Oh, sorry. You're reading this?
Yeah. Let me shout out, guys. Okay, $2. Dollar that has been washed is the same as a crisp. I
don't know what that means.
I'm not sure what that means either.
The same.
Someone wiser than me fully understands that comment.
All right. Well, Gus, I appreciate it. What were you going to say, Chris?
Oh, one thing about the MCU that's been happening since Phase 4 started for me is considering how much power they have, like at Disney, and they can do whatever they want now. They have all the money in the world. No one's stopping them from doing anything. It's almost like it just feels like they're throwing paint against the wall. It doesn't feel as planned as it used to. It's just like seeing what sticks. That's what it feels like to me. And
we're in the Star Wars phase of the MCU.
Yeah,
I guess. I don't know.
I think that's 100% what they're doing though. Like, and maybe by design, or maybe they'd like it if everything
Maybe
was
by
fine.
necessity. I mean, after everything kind of
Yeah.
got blown up. So
Well,
And also just having to have Disney Plus content. Like, you know, the mandate comes from like, hey guys, we're doing streaming now. Feige, you got to make some shows. And he's like, oh crap, you know, and he just has to do it. And I think for them, it's like just shotgun, just throw everything against the wall. Let's see what resonates. Who's popular now? Okay, let's go this way. I think.
And let's be honest, they've got a fairly captive audience. I mean, I'm going to go see every single movie at the preview showing, and the theaters are going to be full. So they've got a lot of bridge to burn before it collapses at this point.
I mean, but like with like the shows, like I didn't get past the first episode of What If. I haven't finished Moon Knight yet. I liked the first episode of Miss Marvel, but I'm hearing not as good things about the second episode, so I don't know how I'll feel about the second episode.
I actually just watched them both tonight. So I enjoyed it. I did not expect to enjoy it at all because, I mean, I don't think I'm the target audience by any means for that show, but I enjoyed it.
I mean, like the first episode for me, I thought the acting was actually really good, and I liked the visuals. You know, I thought the visuals were really cool and unique. It was something different I hadn't really seen much before, other than maybe in like Scott Pilgrim or something. And the only thing I didn't like is, and I've said that, and maybe something changes in the second where they explain a little bit more, but I don't like that her power comes from an item. You know, I don't like something where, because like with Iron Man, that's fine because he can build as many suits as he wants. But with her, it's like this one magical thing. And it's like, if somebody takes that, is she now like useless? You know, I don't like that. I like it where it's like something that's as part of that person that you can't take away.
I'll just say watch episode 2.
Yeah, so that's what I say. Maybe episode 2 explains, takes care of that a little bit.
It's subtle, but I mean, there's at least something there.
Yeah. Martin says, getting back into comics, recommendations for key slabs at 100, 500, and 1,000.
I mean, that's the great thing with comics, though, is that you've got grades. You know, there's a lot you can.
Yeah, I don't know, Martin. Like, I am always hesitant to throw it out because it's like the reality is like I don't know, right? Like you can say like I think this book will go up, but like who really knows, right? We can't predict the future.
I got some recommendations.
But yeah, I will let these other 3 gentlemen throw them out.
$1,000, and Ryan will agree with me on this. First Prince of Shang-Chi at the best grade you can get at $1,000. Sit on it. I think that's the best steal in town.
It's
tanked. It's perfect, and that guy is going to be.
I do agree,
huge.
actually.
500. The next lowest grade you can get for $500 is Shang-Chi.
Or just, I mean, like $1,600 and buy a really, really nice copy of the first appearance.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's where we're going.
That's actually a pretty good idea. But with the way the market is right now, and we can all agree, there are books that used to be $1,000 that are now $400, and you can buy the first Echo for under $500 now in 9.8, and I think that's a steal right now.
With a show on the way.
The show's on the way. It's like it's around the corner. They're shooting it right now, and everyone forgot. And it's they were selling for $380. Buy that. I would buy that in a heartbeat. Anyone. So, and $100. Any X-Men 9.8 you can get your hands on. That's a minor key. Anything that's between issue 150 and 300 for $100. I think you'll do well on all of them.
I mean, hell, even look at X-Men 4. How much it's dropped off. And I just think that
it consistently sells under 200 now. It's like at least the direct, it's like 170 or something like that.
I know there's a ton of them, but I just feel like there's a whole generation of people like us who grew up on that cartoon series who absolutely, one of the first villains that come to mind when they think of the X-Men is Omega Red. So I just feel like that's a low risk book. I mean, you're never going to retire off of it, but I think it's going to have legs over the long term.
And a great cover to have in your collection is truly an iconic book of its era.
Yeah.
In my opinion, there's actually some great books from that era, like that you can get for nothing, like Pit #1, great cover. And I love that book. And it's like you get it for like $70 in 9.8.
Well, we were talking about, I think that was in one of our chats. We were talking about that where I was like, what is Max?
The Max?
That's a great book.
What even is he?
Oh, dude, Sam Keith.
Dude.
It's an incredible read. It's really great.
Yeah.
and some of the best art of the 90s.
Mhm.
But they're worthless, aren't they? Like, really?
All but, I mean,
There's
Yeah,
a couple
except for the
like
last
super
day
rare
everywhere.
variants that are like
Yeah.
low print run books that can go for a lot, but I mean, for the most part, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Martin, those are some good thoughts, good answers. I mean, I made that. I think I already talked about it. I made that video where I gave my philosophy on $1,000 and how Ryan. I used Ryan as the person who you have to sell to 3 years from now, and so
Yeah,
My golden age books.
that's a good
I'm
I don't want
metric.
to sell stuff to him.
I'm not.
But,
Yeah, that's what I was like. He's not going to buy your book. That made me laugh so much.
You're not
But
getting
it's
top
funny-
price for that guy.
But it's good that it all aligns there, because one of the categories I call 20-cent monsters, and even though maybe people didn't think about this one, but Special Marvel Edition is in that category for sure. So it's a good
And
pick.
first Luke Cage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
first
Yeah.
That's another
Yeah.
one. That's a great book, and it's come down a ton too.
yeah.
Big time.
And Werewolf by Night. Nobody knows anything about the thing that's coming later this year.
Oh, the
Oh,
yeah.
Halloween special, you mean?
I have a few of those. I like that book.
Ollie, I just picked up a Hulk 340 today, VF on eBay for 120. Is that a good price? I think that is a good price.
sounds like it. Yeah.
Sounds
feel
good to
like-
me.
For
Like,
VF, yeah.
I mean, I feel like it's hard to find that book for under like 150. I mean, like you can find it, someone posts it on eBay, and then someone buys it.
Yeah.
So it's
I
like,
feel like it's one of those books that unless you've got it in like a 9.6, 9.8, you don't get it graded, because it's gonna it sells for about the same price
Correct.
raw as it will like for a lot of grades, like
Mhm.
leading up there. So it's like, I mean, yeah, it's we were talking about that kind of earlier. It's like certain books just have certain base values, and that's one of those because people just like having it on the wall. It looks
Mhm.
awesome.
I mean,
Yeah.
and it's going for 2-3 times what it was 3 years ago. I mean, I remember when it was a steady $75 book, and
Right.
now it's easy 150 to 200 to 250 for a really nice raw one.
yeah.
It's a
one of the
top 5
coolest
book of
books for
that era.
signatures. Like if you can get one where they've got like the signatures on all the claws and stuff,
Oh,
it looks awesome.
That is a book too, I think, is also a little transcendent. Like you ask like people who don't collect comic books, and like I'd say like, every other person might have seen that cover art. Like, because I think that the Todd McFarlane art on that is like it's so iconic. So talk about like staple Copper Age books. If there are some, I feel like that is got to be in the conversation.
Mhm.
Yeah. And it's still being ripped off today,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
which is great. So
This one goes out to Ryan right here. If you could own any Batman comic, what would it be?
I mean, for me, it would. I guess it's one of those questions where it's like you default to like Detective Comics 27, but like my favorite cover is Detective Comics 69, which is the Joker cover where he's got like the guns. Like that's
the genie.
yeah. I think that's my favorite Batman cover ever, and so that would probably be the one that I would default to. And I like an 8.0 sold today on Heritage for some absurd amount of money, but not as much as I thought it probably would go for, but still a lot more than I have to spend.
like $100,000.
I saw.
No, I think it was like 50 or 60 or something.
I saw
That seems cheap to me.
a shop had, and they wanted $3,000 for it, 3,500, something like that.
That almost seems low. Like I feel like you can almost can't get it for like
it was last
$6,000 to
summer.
$8,000 anymore. Oh,
So
okay.
yeah,
All right.
yeah, it was last summer. So, but yeah, that's a great one. I'd go with Tech 31.
Oh, that's
Which
a
one's that
classic.
one?
It's the
Yeah,
one,
that's
it's
true.
the one Neil Adams ripped off.
Oh, right, with
where
the-
he's
I was
over
thinking
the,
that too.
over the castle.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, that cover is amazing. Every time I see it in
Yeah,
person,
so good.
I'm like, it's just
I've seen one legit.
I've never
Tech
seen a 31 in person before.
The first time
I saw
went
it
to
at the show in the glass cases and stuff like that. They just
Metropolis.
Yeah,
Oh,
say
wow.
Metropolis had a 1.0 at C2E2 several years ago when I went. And it was, it was only $90,000 or something like that.
It's a steal. You'd be losing money if you didn't buy it.
Yeah, I know, right? Missed
Wow.
opportunities.
Oh man.
I'd go with Dark Knight Returns, honestly. That's my
And
favorite.
Didn't the cover art just sell today for like 2.4 mil?
Yeah.
Which I think it went for lower than I thought it would.
Yeah,
thought it'd go for
I
800.
thought it would hit. Given that Secret Wars 8
4?
price, you know, just for like splash page, I thought that this would go for more. I
Mhm.
I commented to Double A Comics to Aaron because he posted something in one of his stories. It was when they were selling it, and I made a comment on how like, they had it in like the ugliest frame I've ever. It was like a frame from IKEA.
Yeah.
And I was like, this hurts your sale. Like, why didn't you put it in a better frame? This is a $2 million piece of artwork, and you got it in this like white, ugly thing that had around. And I was like, gosh, like that felt like a mistake to me.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Hobby Lobby only has so much to choose from.
Hobby Lobby.
Well,
The
Ryan,
crazy thing is that frame probably did cost a ton of money, but it just it looked
It was
terrible
just
with
butt
that art.
ugly.
Ryan says here, do you think the comic book 2.0 variants cause the slab price increases and turnaround time? Is the comic book 2.0 my new meme name for modern superheroes? If it is, then yeah, I think we've talked about this where it's like, isn't it just the inventory of modern comic books is just like, there's so much that gets sent in.
Well, but I mean, like slab pricing increases, I mean, in all honesty, they're not that bad. You know, they didn't raise it all that much, and they hadn't raised prices for 5 years. Like no industry. This was kind of like when people were like up in arms about the increase in grading prices. I know part of it was like, oh, we're in a pandemic and, you know, they shouldn't be doing that. But it's like there's huge demand for their product, and their prices didn't go up that much. It's like it seemed pretty reasonable, and I would generally expect they're probably going to get into a process of like at least small increases yearly, whether it's $1 or, you know, something. I wouldn't be surprised if we start getting something like that.
Yeah. Look at this. Sorry. I was going to say, maybe we'll field a couple more questions here. Kind of getting late. Maybe we'll start to wrap it up soon. But let's start with this one, right? I'm putting together a battle cover set of the Hulk and Thing. Is that a good strategy? What do you think, Drew? All those Hulk versus Thing books.
Yeah, there's some really good ones. I think FF12 is always a great buy. FF25 is always a great buy. Is it 114?
112.
112. Okay, I was close. Another great option.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think once you start getting past that, it's more you're just filling out the run. I don't know that it's necessarily a good investment strategy at that point, but I think those main three there, you know, I don't see a problem with stacking those.
Yeah. And they're great books. And I feel like when there is that moment, and there will 100% be that moment, right? You know, where you see Hulk go against Thing, like those books will go bananas. But the reality is also, you know, it's all only as relevant as it is to the moment. So that's probably the time you want to cash in.
I mean,
yeah,
you
I would
could
think of it like
almost
the cat picking up Mjolnir, you know, like that type of thing.
Right.
Yeah, like you need to go now. But you could definitely almost just do like a little collection of Thing and Hulk versus covers, you know. So you've got Submariner 8, you've got Defenders 10. There's just lots of great covers out there that most of them take inspiration from those FF books we already talked about. I don't know if that's just people riffing on Kirby, or there's just only so many ways to draw super powerful characters beating the hell out of each other, or what. But
what's the Journey into Mystery one? Is it 112? I can't remember the number. There's like with him versus Hulk versus Thor.
112 Thor.
I think that's right. Yeah,
because there are a lot of great options there if you pick one character.
Yep.
Yeah, the battle covers are really cool. Like I love the Tales to Astonish one where it's like Hulk and Hercules, you know, and then you have like the other Tales to Astonish one with Silver. It's not really a battle cover, but it's Silver Surfer and Hulk, and you kind of get a 2-for because it's like a cool battle cover, and it's also the first time sometimes those characters meet, which, you know, kind of a minor key aspect thing, but people seem to really like those things too.
I mean, you've got FF55, which is a Silver Surfer Thing battle cover. You know, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
Comic Aussie here coming in as the high roller, $20 Canadian dollars. So, you know, it's like, what is that? Like $3.99?
$1.85.
Well, $15.60.
Crapping on his super chat.
Screw you guys. I'm from Canada.
He's like, how do I take this back? Undo. Control Alt Delete or something.
I only allow myself one Canadian joke.
Being
a
that this is
stream.
Canadian money, I'm still going to be a long ways away from from getting that Darkhawk side book. No, Ozzy, thank you so much, man. That's super, super kind of you. Add this to your Darkhawk signature book fund, man. I will. I have to get. I low key. At some point, I'm going to have to get a Stanley signed Darkhawk 1. I know that there's a few out there. I don't know how many, but I gotta.
That'd be amazing.
I gotta get. I gotta find one. I have my what is it called? Like on eBay when it's like you get the notification of like when the book comes up. So I have every variation of that book.
Do you know what you should do though? You should get like Frank Miller to sign it and like just like everyone to sign it. Like every
random
Jim Lee,
people, unaffiliated,
just random everyone. He's got like
with
600 signatures on
Yeah,
it.
I should make it. Oh yeah, I should make it a one of one like ultimate Grail thing.
Exactly.
Like, it's so ridiculous that But the problem is
$1 million price tag on it.
Is there anyone out? The problem is that it's like I wouldn't want to sell it.
Well, you're not getting your money out of it anyway. So
yeah, exactly.
Sometimes you do it for the love, guys. You do it for the love.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, we've been kind of going for a while. I know there's some chats I missed here, but I think we got to kind of wrap it up. Got to watch the Warrior highlights. Been taking time from these three gentlemen right here. Appreciate you guys coming on. Appreciate everyone in the chat hanging out. Maybe we can go around and have our special guests tell the chat where they can be found and stuff. Let's start with Chris. Chris,
Vancouver Comic Junkie on IG and YouTube. I'm trying to do more videos, but I don't have a lot of time because I'm working too much right now. But I have a lot of books coming back from CGC at the moment that I will be selling some of so I can pay for my newfound graded VHS addiction, which is which I'll have swag addicted to within the next month. I guarantee you. I keep trying. I'm trying. Damn it. Anyway,
We'll see.
He needs other people to buy them from him, so he's got to try. He's got to try to expand the demand.
It's a good market for it. It's pretty shocking, actually.
Yeah.
But
Heritage had their first big, or no, I don't think they've had it yet. They sent. I got the booklet.
Heritage just had it.
Oh, they had it. Okay, I got the booklet in the mail
another
about
one
their big sale.
Yeah. Is there a Darkhawk VHS? Because if there is, I'll buy that one.
I'm sure there is actually.
Ryan, why don't you say what's up to the chat or
I'm Automatic Comics on Instagram and on YouTube. I've been pretty consistently now putting out about 3 videos a week, so check it out. Lots of fun stuff.
Absolutely. And Drew?
Hey, Como Comic Books. I should have a video out on Saturday. I took last week off because, well, I was tired. These other guys make me look bad with all the videos they put out. That's fine.
Yeah,
enjoy those.
Except for me.
Hey, that's all good.
All right. Well, thanks again, guys, for coming on the stream. Good hanging out. I'll let you guys go to bed, before it gets too late, especially you East Coasters. Thanks everyone in the chat.
Saturday.
Yeah. Thanks everyone in the chat for hanging out. See you guys in the next stream.
Later.
Peace out.